Sunday night at Chicago Stadium, rookie Tony Herkus had a 4-goal performance, the most goals ever by a Blues player in Stanley Cup playoff action. And that 4-goal total included the game winner when the Blues were shorthanded in the third period. Herkus moved in and just picked the bottom right-hand corner. The Blues won 6-5 and lead the series 3-1. Greg Millen was another star in that game, as he has been through the entire series. He'll be in goal again tonight, the 5th consecutive game in which Millen has played in this series. And the Blues were a happy lot as they left Chicago Stadium Sunday night. Now we're at the arena. It's Tuesday night. It's Game 5. The Blackhawks must win to survive. The Blues can end the series with a victory. Hello again, everyone. With Ken Wilson, I am Dan Kelly, and I don't think the Blues need any reminder of what this game tonight is all about. They do not want to go back to Chicago Stadium.
Well, they have a lot of things going for them now, Dan, and it's easy to have a lapse, I think, because you're in command. You have 3 games in which to win only 1 game, but nobody wants to go to Chicago. Nobody wants a Game 7 here on Saturday night.
Meanwhile, from a Chicago standpoint, they know what it's all about. And I expect the Blackhawks to come up with a desperate effort here this evening.
I think talking to them, they're confident that they're going to play very well. I think the most impressive thing to me about them is their lack of intensity late in a couple of 1-goal games. I'm surprised Chicago to this point hasn't played better.
The Blackhawks are just taking the ice now at the arena. Ken, the key to this game tonight would be the teams are starting to hate each other, and it would be to me to stay out of the penalty box from both standpoints.
That's what Jacques Martin said before the game. He said the real key here, beyond special teams and goaltending, is discipline. Don't take too many penalties. Both teams did not discipline themselves very well the other night in Chicago.
It's the Blues and the Blackhawks at the arena. Hope you enjoy it. This is St. Louis Blues hockey.
Don Koharski, the linesman Pat DePuzzo, and Ron Finn. In goal for Chicago again, Darren Pang. This is his 4th game. His goals against in the playoffs, 4-3-3. At the other end, of course, he's been in every playoff game, Greg Millen. His goals against, 3.5. The Blues can wrap it up tonight, give themselves a week rest until they would begin the Norris Division final playoff series. A big crowd on hand at the arena. We're glad you're with us, and we're just about set to go. Well, I think the key here is, what do the Blackhawks do early? Their chances would be slim unless they come out firing. Here's Dan Kelly.
Okay, Ken Wilson, immediately the Blues. Gino Cavallini to Brett Hull, moves in, shoots right on. And Pang handled that shot as Hull moved in smartly on the right side. The Hawks clear it out. And Gaston Gingras back in action tonight after missing the latter part of Game 4 with a hyperextended elbow. To Gilmore to Hull. Penalty coming up to Chicago. Now as Pang gets possession, now the penalty called by Koharski against Bob McGill. And the Blues, in the first minute of this game, about to go on a power play. This is St. Louis Blues hockey.
Bob McGill picks up a tripping penalty at the 23-second mark. At center ice, he tripped Doug Gilmore. Just 4 seconds into the game, Brett Hull let a shot go that tested Darren Pang more than he could ever imagine he would be tested before the 5-second mark.
Blues have 7 power play goals in this series, a 22.6%. Here's Paderco. Back to Brett Hull on the left wing boards. Hull, number 16, shoots one and hit Nyland, the Chicago defenseman, and deflects up into the crowd.
Dan, I think the last thing the Blackhawks would have wanted would be to watch the Blues power play in the first minute. But 7 for 31 are the Blues on the power play. The Blues scratches tonight: Cliff Ronning, Perry Turnbull, Mark Hunter, Steve Bozek, Robert Nordmark, Greg Paslowski, and Kent Carlson, called up yesterday from Peoria.
Face-off, won by the Blues. Hull back to Benning. Return to Brett Hull. Hull on the left wing boards. Across on right wing to Gilmore. Up Gilmore. Back on the point to Benning. In on right wing to McKechnie. Back to Gilmore. In front to Hull. Shoots. Oh, he blasted that one just wide. And nobody saw that rocket, but it missed the net. We saw it when it hit the boards and bounced out. Here's Nyland over for Brown. Shot to center. Dennis Savard racing after it. Millen away out of the net. And plays the puck back of the goal to Gilmore. Gilmore behind the goal to Benning. 1:10 left in the penalty. Now the Blues break out with Benning. Coming to his own line. Into center ice. Into the Hawk zone. And that's offside at the Blackhawk blue line now with 1:03 remaining in the penalty to McGill of Chicago.
Tony McKechnie had a brilliant 40-goal season. He just was outstanding in his first season with the Blues. 4 assists in the playoffs. Out with Fedorko and Hull. Now Gilmore replaced by Gingras on 1 point, Benning on the other. In this game, just a minute 20 seconds old, Brett Hull has had 2 pretty good scoring chances. On the power play, let the blast go that no one could see. I know it whistled by the referee, Don Koharski. Had it hit him, who knows what would have happened.
Here's Gilmore shooting it in. Pang missed it back of the net. And Ben Wilson back in the Hawk lineup. Clears it off the boards and down the ice. Gilmore back for the Blues in his own zone. Doug Gilmore spins to get away from Noonan to Gingras. He gets checked, and now Gilmore has to go back again. Gilmore out on left wing for Tony McKechnie. Blues pinned up in their own zone at this point. Now to Gilmore. 35 seconds left in the penalty. Gilmore to McKechnie. Dumps it into the Hawk zone. Hang out of the net. And he scoops it on the backhand himself all the way down the ice. And Millen was going to come out, but let Gingras go back and get him. 21 seconds left in the penalty. Here comes Gilmore. Into center ice to Fedorko. In on left wing for Gino Cavallini. Gino on the left wing boards. Back to Gilmore at the point. Now to Roberts. In front to Cavallini. Shot it wide to the net. Sutter into the corner after it for the Blues. Gets help from Fedorko. Now Fedorko knocking it back of the net to Sutter. Sutter trying to center. Did. Knocked away by Payne. Here's Fedorko to Sutter. Sutter back to Paul Cavallini. Shooting. The puck hit the post. That shot went off a skate and then hit the post. And back comes McGill for Chicago. He's back on the ice, so the Hawks have killed it off. Still no score. Roberts for the Blues in his own zone. To Todd Ewan, who comes to center, playing it off the boards into the Hawk zone, and Payne leaves it there for Bob Murray. Murray behind the Chicago goal. Gives it to Everett Santapas. Santapas trying to break out. Mahar checked him, shot it back in, and Bob Murray now checked by Mahar. Shoots from a bad angle, Payne the save on that. Bob Murray clearing it out to Santapas. Shot to center and then dumped back in by Paul Cavallini. And the little goaltender Payne back to get it, but then the play is called anyway on an offside at the Chicago Blue Line.
You have to give the Blues the big edge, and a lot of it because of the power play opportunity through the first 3 minutes and 14 seconds of this game. The Blues had a couple of good chances on Payne. Paul Cavallini from the left point letting a shot go, seemed to be deflected, and Nyland was there, may have hit the post, but just missed, and really a scrambly play in front. The Blues doing everything but scoring. Bernie Fedorko was right there also. But the Blues off to a good start, Dan.
As I look at the replay, it didn't hit the post, but hit Nyland's skate and went into the corner. Here's Troy Murray scooping it in for the Hawks. Back to get it is Gino Cavallini. Knocked it in behind the net to Timmy Bothwell. Bothwell for the Blues in this scoreless game. Being watched by Troy Murray. Fired it out of there all the way down into the Hawk zone. Payne lets it go. Nyland back to get it, and that's going to be an icing call against St. Louis. Face-off will come back to deep in the St. Louis zone. Blues have outshot the Hawks 2-0, and 2 of their best shots in that power play missed the net completely.
And the most noticeable thing about the Chicago Blackhawks and what their coach Bob Murdoch is doing here early in Game 5 is that they are feverishly forechecking. They are sending 2 men in, and not 2 men just in, but 2 men way in. They were doing it penalty killing. They're doing it now at even strength. And when you have a Troy Murray on one line, one of the best defensive forwards in the league, a Dennis Savard who can forecheck very well on another line, you're able to do that. But they've been sending 2 men in, and they know that if they cause havoc with the Blues defense in the Blues end, it can mean problems for St. Louis.
Here's a line for Chicago of Savard, Vibe, and Sanipass. Sanipass had a couple of goals in Game 4 of the series, his first action in the series. He's playing with a broken hand. Blues win the faceoff, and Benning, back of his own goal, flips it off the boards to center. Manson shoots it right back in for Chicago. Brian Sutter for the Blues comes up with it. Sutter clearing it into center ice. Savard knocks it down, and back to get it is Bob Murray. The key matchup here, the Blues have Mahar on the ice against Savard. Here's Sanipass flipping it in. Herbie Ragland back to get it for the Blues. Ragland cleared to Benning. Benning and Murray battle for it. Now Vibe comes up with it. Rick Vibe getting tired. Taken into the corner, and then Vibe got knocked down, and the fans love that. Sutter trying to clear it out. Couldn't. Vibe gets it again. Spun around, and the Blues will get a penalty here. Rick Mahar will go to the penalty box for pulling down Vibe. And now Chicago will get its chance on the power play. This is St. Louis Blues hockey.
A hooking penalty to Rick Mahar at the 4:30 mark of this scoreless first period. He had been checked heavily in the corner by Vibe and just hooks Vibe down. No question about that call by Don Koharski.
Chicago 7 for 23 on the power play in the series, a 30.4 percentage. And the Hawks have it right from the faceoff. Murray over to Troy Murray, across to Savard, who was open but banned on it. And Brian Sutter back for the Blues. Sutter, and Game 4 hero Tony Herkus out to kill off the penalty. Now Steve Larmer to Rick Vibe, into center ice to Savard. Savard shooting it in. Broken up at the Blues defense. Savard back to Trent Yanni. Over to Murray, back to Yanni. To Bob Murray again, now to Yanni. Now to Bob Murray. They stand almost beside each other. Into Larmer, to Bob Murray, to Yanni. Feeds Savard. Savard loses it. Blues clear it, but Yanni held it in. Now to Savard again on left wing. Side of the net to Vibe, in front to Larmer. Broken up and cleared by Robert Dirk all the way down the ice. 1:05 left in the penalty. Here's Larmer breaking in on right wing. Larmer tied up by Roberts on the play. And Gino Cavallini cleared it, and cleared it too high over the boards into the penalty box. And we'll get a face-off back in the St. Louis zone.
Still 59 seconds to go, in the penalty to Rick Mahar. Gino Cavallini on the ice, killing the penalty with Gilmore, Roberts, and his brother Paul. And Gino has been just splendid in this playoff series. And it's interesting, Dan, you pointed it out. The 2-point men for Chicago very close to each other in the middle. 5 moments ago had a good chance, whirling in front, couldn't get his stick on the puck, nor could his teammate Steve Larmer. One of the things that can happen, if you bring the point men close together in the middle of the ice, and then you put a winger in each circle or off to the side, a Steve Larmer, for instance, it opens them up quite a bit because it forces the 2 outside men in the Blues defensive box to go out to the point. And it's an interesting setup that the Blackhawks were using with that power play. The minor officials, the off-ice officials as they're now called, are from Pittsburgh, and one of them caught that puck that was shot into the penalty bench area on the top of the head, and he has to walk across the ice and down to the Blues dressing room area for some repairs.
Meanwhile, still 59 seconds left in Rick Mahar's penalty. That penalty hurts doubly to the Blues. Not only are they short-handed, but they're without one of their premier penalty killers in Mahar. Here's Troy Murray against Doug Gilmore on the faceoff. Blues win it, and Paul Cavallini fires it off the boards down the ice. Bang out of the net to send it up for Ben Wilson. Wilson, number 23, veteran defenseman, former Philadelphia Flyer, giving it off to Noonan, number 10. Here's Brian Noonan into center ice, shoots it into the Blues zone. Millen back of the net, clears it up on the boards. Ben Wilson pinches in, back of the net to Presley. Now Roberts knocked it away from him, comes to Wilson at the point. Ben Wilson to Keith Brown. In on the wing, Troy Murray to Presley. Presley gets turned around. Now Presley, number 17, winds it around to Noonan on the other side. Noonan taken out of the play. And the Blues, Cavallini brothers, forced the puck into center ice. Gino made the hit. Paul made the clear. And now Gilmore on the boards. Gets stumped in there, and we're going to get a penalty here. As Presley and Gilmore collided on the boards. And one of them, Presley, I believe. Now it's going to be Brian Noonan who'll get a slashing penalty.
It was away from the play, and the rookie Noonan, who played at Nova Scotia last season, gets the penalty. He hacked one of the Blues across the skates, and that's one thing that both teams have been doing rather freely in this series. A lot of slashing at the skates, and it's one of those things that only so much of it can be called, and that one was called. It's a 2-minute penalty at 6:20 of the first period. Now for the next 10 seconds, both teams will be shorthanded. Then Mahar will come out, and the Blues will have their second power play of this game. The Blackhawks, by the way, are still without a shot on goal.
Blues have had two, but neither team's been able to score. Savard against Fedorko just on the Hawk side of center. Blues get it, and Tony McKechnie back into his own zone to Benning. Benning across against Gingras. Back of the net to Benning. Ryan Benning, as the penalized player Mahar comes back on to Gingras. Gingras shoots it in. Over the boards comes Hull on the Blues power play. But the Hawks come up with the puck, and back comes Larmer out of his own zone. Larmer came to center, now drops it back to Gary Nyland. Rink wide to the other side to Keith Brown. And Brown finds an opening and shoots it all the way down. Gaston Gingras missed the last part of Game 4 with a hyperextended elbow, but in action tonight to McKechnie. Here's McKechnie into the Hawk zone. Tony McKechnie over to Bernie Fedorko. Fedorko on right wing trying to make a play. Centered to Hull. Weak shot as he partially banged on it. Hang the save. Now Benning at the point. Brian Benning in on the boards to Hull. Hull into the corner. Carries back of the net. Gives it to McKechnie. Here's Tony McKechnie to Brett Hull. Hull on this power play to McKechnie. Back to Hull. Hull for the Blues. Tries to center. McKechnie knocked down in the play. Centered it. Pang clears it away. And the Hawks, Nyland shot it, held in by Gingras. Side of the net to Fedorko. Bernie Fedorko. Beckman behind the net to McKechnie. Back to Fedorko on right wing. Fedorko for the Blues, trying to center it out. Now back on the point to Gingras. Into Brett Hull. Across to Benning. Shoots. He scores! Brian Benning!
Convinced the pass was intended to go through the slot to Bernie Fedorko in the circle. But Benning grabs it and scores. I'm absolutely convinced Brett Hull to the right wanted to pass it straight through to Fedorko. But Benning gets the goal. And I want to tell you something. Brett Hull on this power play, absolutely magnificent. Dan, he was handling the puck in the corner much better than I think anyone realized he could handle the puck. He is absolutely great on that power play.
Benning's first goal of the playoffs, a power play goal, and the Blues lead it 1-0. Blues cleared into the Hawk zone with Bob Murray back after it. Murray in behind his own goal, trying to move it out of there. Murray shoots it out on right wing, comes to Benning back in the St. Louis zone. Benning just has scored the goal to give the Blues the early lead. Here's Brian Sutter to Rick Mahar. Mahar to center, trying to clear it in. Back there to get it is Bob Murray, the veteran defenseman in this Hawk club. Clears it to Vibe, missed him, and Benning goes back after it. Benning in his own zone, shoots it to center. Racing after it, Herbie Ragland. Ragland and Manson fight for it. Ragland to Sutter, got it in front of the net, and then Bob Murray there to clear it away. And the Blues go back with Roberts in his own zone to Timmy Bothwell. Bothwell feeding it ahead, and on left wing to Cavallini. Cavallini back of the net. Gets it to Jocelyn Lemieux. In behind the net again for Gino Cavallini. Cleared it into the corner, but Troy Murray back to get it. And Murray breaks out for Chicago. Herkus tied him up. Troy Murray now gets free, crosses the red line. Fired a long one in, wide of the Blues goal. Vince Gillette on the boards, checked by Lemieux. Nice little flip pass to Gilmore. He leaves it for Gordie Roberts into Lemieux on right wing. Lemieux shooting right on, and a glove save by Pang, and he held onto it and will get a face-off. Benning has scored in the power play from Hull and Gingras, and the Blues lead 1-0. This is St. Louis Blues hockey.
The Blues have the power play goal. Benning at 7:54. They have outshot Chicago 6-0. The Blues have been playing better and better as the period has gone on. They're playing as well as they can possibly play.
Here from the face-off, it is Gary Nyland, number 22 for Chicago, giving it to Dwayne Sutter. Sutter trying to clear it out. McKegney held it in. Now Nyland over to Ben Wilson, shot into center ice, knocked away by Gordie Roberts, and picked up by the Blues Evans. He's upended, and we're going to get another penalty here against Chicago and against Dwayne Sutter. And the Blues, who've scored on the power play already, will have the man advantage again.
Well, the Blues have won the first two games here at the arena. If they can win this one tonight, they'll move on to the Norris Division Finals, most likely against the Detroit Red Wings. The Blues, of course, won Game 1 here 4-1, Game 2 3-2, then Game 3 played in Chicago. The Hawks only win 6-3, and then Game 4 on Sunday night at the Chicago Stadium, the Blues won it 6-5. But the penalty to Dwayne Sutter for elbowing at 9:44 here in the first period. And the Blues power play, Dan, has looked very effective tonight, very patient. Sometimes you can be too patient, you don't shoot enough, but as long as you have Brett Hull on the power play, you're always going to shoot enough because you know he's not going to be hesitant. But they were very, very impressive getting that power play goal.
They've had 8 so far in the series now in 32 attempts. Face-off won by Chicago. Here's Larmer breaking away with Savard, cutting in, shoots, scores! Dennis Savard! And the Hawks score a shorthanded goal. That's what they do very well. They did it all through the regular season when they had a total of 18. And Savard ties it up.
On the Blackhawks' first shot of the game. On the play, Millen will be screened. Watch him. Larmer breaks out from the neutral zone. Feeds over to Savard. He lets the shot go. Gilmore, obviously not a defenseman, screens Greg Millen. Millen just doesn't see it. From Millen's point of view, watch what he sees. He sees Gilmore. He can tell that Savard is shooting, but can't really see the puck.
Blues had a great goaltender by the name of Jacques Plante. He used to say, if you're going to block the shot, block the shot. If you don't, I'm beaten. And they just saw a living witness to that testimony there. Gilmore went down and went right through his legs. Millen didn't see it. It went right through his. 1-1 the score. Blues still in a power play. McKegney moving it into Pederko. Bernie Pederko over on left wing to Gilmore. Gilmore dropping it to Benning. Back to Gilmore again. Gilmore into Brett Hull. Hull trying to cut in. Down. Pang poked it away with a good move. And the Hawks then shoot it down the ice. Hull had walked in, but Pang anticipated well and came out and poked it away before Hull could get to the loose puck. Here comes Gilmore. 52 seconds left in the penalty. Into Cavallini. In on left wing for Brian Sutter. Sutter behind the net to Herkus. Herkus for the Blues. Into the corner to Gino Cavallini. Back to Gilmore. Over to Bennett. Side of the net to Gino Cavallini, but cleared away by McGill, and now Larmer beats Savard. Dennis Savard trying to shoot it in. Gilmore breaks it up to Sutter. Sutter to Herkus. Back to Sutter. Now to Herkus, cutting in on right wing. Herkus shoots, scores! Tony Herkus!
For Herkus, 5 goals in less than 4 periods. I think the Blackhawks felt he was going to pass to Gino Cavallini on his right. It was the logical thing to do, but he cut to the middle, and that's even more logical. You've got more net to shoot at from the slot, and Tony Herkus really blossoming in this Norris Division semifinal playoff series. Did a wonderful job there. I think just about every other player, certainly the average players, would have fed to their right wing, but Herkus made a nice move.
And got away a heck of a shot. Here are the Blues with a 2-1 lead now as Gingras shoots it in. Bob Murray back to get it. Murray trying to clear it out of there. Murray comes across center, firing it into the St. Louis zone. Doug Evans back there to try and feed it out. Couldn't. Ben Wilson held it in. Shoots it in on the boards for Dan Vincelette. Now to Dwayne Sutter. Gordy Roberts tying Sutter up. Ben Wilson around on the boards to Vincelette. Back of the net to Steve Ludzik. Ludzik checked, and a good play by Roberts to break it up. And then he clears to Doug Evans. Evans into center ice to Gino Cavallini. Here's Gino into the Hawk zone on left wing. Tries to center. Back checking for Chicago was Ludzik. And he clears it out to Vincelette. Vincelette shot at the center. And into the Blues zone where Gordy Roberts takes over. Blues lead 2-1. Roberts to Gino Cavallini. He shoots it in. David Manson, number 3, back to get it for the Hawks. Here comes Manson into center ice. Firing it into the Blues zone. Millen out of the net to shoot it over onto the boards. Picked up there by the Blues, Rick Mahar. He gives it to Benning. Benning, who had the Blues' first goal. Dumps it into the Hawk zone. In comes Herb Ragland. Ragland takes a hit from Manson. Now gets help from Mahar on the play in the corner. 2 Blues and 2 Hawks are there, and they jam up and hold it for a faceoff. And then Ragland takes a push from Ben Wilson, or from Dave Manson. We'll pause 15 seconds here for station identification. This is St. Louis Blues hockey.
That Chicago goal shorthanded. Savard from Larmer at 9:52. That tied it at 1. Then the Blues' second power play goal at 11:22. Herkus from Brian Sutter and Doug Gilmour. It is 2-1 Blues. And we talked so much the other night in Chicago about special teams. We talked about patience and not taking penalties. Special teams involved in all 3 goals.
Here's Chicago with Savard from the faceoff. Ragland knocks it down. Fired it back of the net, and now over on the boards, Bothwell and Cochran got involved. And we're going to get a penalty, I believe, to Bothwell. That will be the call, and Chicago will have a power play. This is St. Louis Blues hockey.
Tim Bothwell earns himself a cross-checking penalty at 12:52 here in the first period. The Blackhawks' goal came while they were shorthanded. On the power play, they are 0 for 1.
Here the Blues, Mahar a long shot. Bob Murray back to get it. Chicago with the man advantage is number 6. Murray starts to carry out of there to the Savard. Back to Bob Murray. Murray shooting it into the St. Louis zone. Millen back of the net. Out of the goal to clear it. Brian Sutter comes up with it. Tried to shoot it. Yanni at the point held it in. And Mahar got it out of the zone, and it scooped back in. Offside by Bob Murray.
Dan, one of the things that's bothering the Chicago Blackhawks is the power play. And what's bothering them is they have had only 24 power plays in this playoff series. The Blues have had 34, 10 more power play opportunities. The Blackhawks don't feel they're getting a fair shake. On the other side, you watch the other night or listen from Chicago, the Blackhawks took a lot of unnecessary, careless, and bad penalties. The Blues have 9 power play goals. Chicago has 7, but a big difference in the number of opportunities favoring St. Louis.
Face-off coming up outside the St. Louis blue line. Mahar against Dennis Savard. 1:34 still remaining in the Blues penalty to Tim Bothwell. Blues with a win tonight can wrap up the series. Chicago with a win would force Game 6 back in Chicago on Thursday night. Puck cleared in by the Blues. Back to get it is Trent Yanni. Yanni, who missed the latter part of Game 4 with a leg injury, back in there tonight. Gives it to Bob Murray. Now to Savard breaking in. Savard into the corner. Shot it around onto the other wing. Gilmour gets it and cleared it quickly into center ice, and Yanni had it there to Larmer, back to Yanni. Sutter almost stole it. Now going back to Steve Larmer in his own zone. Larmer to the blue line. Larmer, a dangerous sniper, crosses center, shoots it in. Back to the goal is Millen, leaving it for Paul Cavallini. He fires it out of there, and the Hawks have to retreat again. 46 seconds left in the Blues penalty. Trent Yanni, big lanky defenseman who played on Canada's Olympic team. Giving it to Wayne Presley. Presley shoots it in for the Hawks. Gilmore back to get it, drops it to Presley. Presley couldn't get a shot, leaves it near the blue line for Troy Murray to Ben Wilson. Paul Cavallini blocked it, and Herkus gives it to Gilmore. Gilmore to center ice to Herkus. Here's Herkus. Now decides to retreat and kill more time on the penalty, and it almost cost him. And then the Blues rookie cleared it over the boards into the Blues players bench with 17 seconds left in the Blues penalty.
Notice when the Chicago Blackhawks have the man advantage, they're generally shooting the puck in instead of carrying it in. The Blues are very much aware of that. For the most part, on that Chicago power play, which still has 17 seconds to go, Doug Gilmore has been lying back. Consequently, he's able to get back in the corner quickly when the puck goes off the end boards.
Here's Chicago with Keith Brown shooting it in. Back of the Blues goal. Robert Dirk to try and get it out. Sutter battles on the boards. Gets help from Mahar, who gets it into center ice. Troy Murray has it there. Murray back to Ben Wilson in the Chicago zone. Now back on is Bothwell. The Blues have killed it off. Here's Ben Wilson to Troy Murray. Murray cutting in. Roberts took him out of the play. Back of the net goes Mahar to get the loose puck. And Rick Mahar feeds it out on right wing for Jocelyn Lemieux, number 15. Lemieux shoots it in. Back of the net is Pang, and now over in front of the net. Here's Presley getting into it with Rick Mahar. And the linesman Ron Finn steps between those two. Well, I don't know if he was after Mahar or Paul Cavallini, but he was trying to throw a punch over top of the linesman, was Presley.
I think he was after Mahar. Presley wanted to go. Now Mahar wants to go after it's over. Meanwhile, Lemieux and Ben Wilson. That'd be a pretty interesting tussle right there. And the linesmen have their hands full here. And they finally separate the two sides. But Ben Wilson would like to fight with anybody on any day, any place. Doesn't necessarily have to be an ice rink. The Blues have played exceptionally well here in this opening period. Down to 4:48 to go, and they lead it 2-1. They have outshot Chicago 9-1. That tells a story, but boy, they have really played well. This is St. Louis Blues hockey. Time now for our Pizza Hut scoreboard. The Blues, of course, lead here by a score of 2-1. Toronto is at Detroit. In that game, it is 2-2 late in the first period. Los Angeles will play in Calgary in the Smythe division. Winnipeg later on will be at Edmonton. Edmonton looking to end that series. In the first period, 1-1 New Jersey against the New York Islanders. They're tied 2-2 in the best-of-7 series. Elsewhere, Washington at home has a 4-1 lead in the second. They're trying to stave off elimination with the Flyers. Hartford has a 2-0 lead at Montreal, looking for their second consecutive win, trailing 3-1. And in the second, Buffalo 2, Boston 2. That series is even at 2 victories aside. Pizza Hut sets the standard of quality for pizza everywhere. That's right, everywhere. The penalties: Rick Mahar, 2 minutes for slashing. Wayne Presley, a couple of minors, 2 minutes for slashing and 2 minutes for roughing. Thus, the Blues will have the man advantage for the next 2 minutes.
And the Blues have already scored a couple of power play goals. Vince Gillette heads to the penalty box to serve the other minor for Presley. And the Blues with a 2-1 lead on a power play again right here. Both of their goals have been with the man advantage. Here's Pederko to Gingras at the point. Gingras to Benning. Benning at the left point for St. Louis. Feeding it into Hull, across to Pederko. Puck hopped over his stick. Now Pederko gives it to McKechnie. Tony McKechnie on the left wing boards for the Blues. Into the corner to Pederko. Bernie Pederko trying to center out in front. Now Pederko into the corner to Hull. Brett Hull tied up by Wilson on the play. Wilson kicks it ahead to Larmer. And here come the Hawks, who scored their only goal shorthanded. Larmer firing it in. Millen back of the net to get it out to McKechnie. Now McKechnie into center to Hull. He missed it, but Pederko gets it to Hull. Hull cutting in. And goal. Shoots from a bad angle, paying the save. Now Hull center. Out in front to Benning. Benning holding on to it. Brian Benning for the Blues. Into the corner to Hull. Hull taken out by McGill. Troy Murray cleared it. Benning couldn't hold it in, and the Blues have to clear the zone. Here's Benning in on left wing to Brett Hull. Hull cutting in for the Blues. McGill took him out, knocked his helmet off. Hull comes up with the puck, got it in front, then got knocked down. Puck's cleared. Here's Benning into the side of the net to McKegney. Back to Benning at the left point. Into Doug Gilmour. Across to McKegney. Shooting. Hang the save. Rebound to Paderco. He's too well tied up. Drops it to Benning. 35 seconds left in the penalty. Benning to McKegney on left wing. Back to Benning. Side of the net to Paderco. Paderco now to McKegney. Back on the point to Benning. Over to Gilmour. Shooting. Deflected by Hull, and it went wide. Now McKegney to Hull. Shoots. One kick to the fences and hit Troy Murray. Here's Benning at the left point. Benning for the Blues. In for Paderco. Back to Benning. 10 seconds left in the penalty. Gilmour to Hull.
Could not diagram it any better. That was about the best 60 seconds I've seen in about 10 years on the power play. Brett Hull, helmetless on the rebound upstairs. And I haven't seen anybody in a long time on rebounds able to go upstairs as consistently as Brett Hull. But if you were to watch a replay of the last 60 seconds, you would absolutely marvel at how well the Blues were executing. And they were helped by the fact that Dennis Savard had broken his stick. But Brett Hull, absolutely magnificent, and Jacques Martin's Blues have a 3-1 lead. And they have incredibly outshot the Blackhawks in this first period 13-1. And that is no fluke. The only fluke is that on their one shot, while they were shorthanded, the Blackhawks were able to score. Boy, the Blackhawks have been humiliated. Gilmour, Benning get assists. Brett Hull has a goal and an assist now. That's his 5th goal, coming in Game 5 of this playoff series.
3-1, St. Louis leading. What a power play. And this crowd eat it up here at the arena. Puck comes to the Hawk line from the face-off, and here's Keith Brown. Back to Ben Wilson. Wilson ahead on left wing to Vincelette. Broken up and cleared by Gingras to center. And Wilson flips it right back in. Gingras going back to get it for the Blues. Gaston Gingras, number 23, behind his own goal. Down to 2.5 minutes left in a very strong first period by the Blues. Gingras with nowhere to go, flips it down the ice. Pang will have to come out and play it because Herkus was going to get to it. Pang cleared it. Gino Cavallini knocked it down. Into the corner for Herkus. Herkus back to the net, into the other corner to Doug Evans. Evans gets away from Vincelette to Cavallini. Gino just missed the net. Gingras held it in at the point. Now to Evans, now to Herkus. And now on the play, a penalty called at the Chicago blue line. This is St. Louis Blues hockey.
Here at 17:54, Gaston Gingras picks up a 2-minute high sticking penalty with the Blues up 3-1. I believe that Gingras got his stick up in defense. I believe that Gingras was afraid that he was going to get high sticked. He had the puck at the point. Ludzik had lost his stick. Ludzik was coming up with his gloves, so Gingras put his stick up to protect himself and gets a 2-minute penalty. Not a real good call by the referee in that particular instance, Don Koharski. But on the other hand, things have gone so well for the Blues in this period. What's a little adversity or maybe a questionable call?
3-1, the Blues leading. And now Chicago with the man advantage. Dennis Savard, Larmer, and Vibe up front. Murray and Trent Yanni are the point men. Trent Yanni back to pick it up behind his own goal, giving it to Savard. Out to Larmer. Missed him. Bothwell fires it right back in for the Blues. Bob Murray back to get it. Murray trying to get organized in the Chicago zone. Back of the net to Yanni. Trent Yanni to Dennis Savard, who's had the hot goal. Savard across the center, firing it in. Crazy hop off the boards, came in front, cleared by the Blues, but not out. Shot back to the net. Into the corner was Vibe. Blues break it out. Yanni a good play at the point to hold it in. Into Savard, back to Yanni. Other point to Murray. Into the side of the net. To Larmer. Back to Bob Murray again. Now to Yanni. Then on left wing to Savard. To Yanni. Shooting. Millen a save. Rebound to Mahar. And he shoots it away. 1:02 left in the penalty. Trent Yanni back for Chicago out of his own zone. Checked by Herkus. Cleared it to Vive. Vive flipping it in, and Doug Gilmour goes back to the Blues. Gilmour behind the net. Flipping it high out on left wing, and Herkus pokes it down near the Hawk line. We're in the final minute here of the first period. Hawks on a power play, trying to clear it in. They do. Robert Dirk back to get it, and Dirk shoots it away. And we're down to 40 seconds left in the period. Ben Wilson back for Chicago. 30 seconds left in the Blues penalty. Here comes Wilson into center ice to Sutter, broken up and shot away by Roberts for the Blues. And Ben Wilson has to go back again. Now 18 seconds left in the penalty. Chicago trying to move it out of there. Wilson feeding it to Keith Brown. Brown from center ice shoots it in. Now a loose puck on the boards taken by the Hawks. Now play called, and we're going to get another penalty here. And I believe it's going to be against the Blues again. Brian Sutter arguing the call with 12 seconds left in the period.
And I'll tell you what Brian Sutter is unhappy about, Dan. He was retaliating. On the previous shift, Tony Herkus, away from the play in center ice, seemed to be slashed in the face by Rick Vive. And the crowd really reacted when Don Koharski did not see it. And Sutter was red hot, and he was just trying to get a little back. The problem is you preach patience. And Brian did not show good patience there, and now the Blues are shorthanded for 6 seconds. But I'll tell you something, Rick Vive was amazing the other night, and he took a pretty vicious cut right around the face of Tony Herkus, and I'm not sure if Herkus was cut or not. And that's what the Blues are really barking about and complaining about.
Going to give the Hawks, with 12 seconds left in the period, a two-man advantage here. 4 6 seconds, because that's the amount of time Gingras has left. And now Sutter joins it. 3-1, the Blues leading. Now they delay things as the linesman Pat Capuzzo had to pick up some debris in front of the Chicago bench. Face-off is going to be just outside the face-off circle to the right of the Blues goal. And the Hawks on a two-man advantage here. Blues win it, though, and Bothwell cleared it out into center ice. Back is Ben Wilson. Wilson shoots it into Savard. Now Gingras back on. Blues only one man short. Bothwell to Gingras. Cleared it to the line, and the first period is over. And the Blues will skate off to a standing ovation here. They lead the Blackhawks 3-1. After one period of play, and several of the Blues now question the referee, Don Koharski, including Captain Brian Sutter, as the period ends. After one, the Blues 3, Chicago 1. This is St. Louis Blues hockey. Welcome back to the arena, where we await the start of the second period. Meanwhile, we have an interesting story apparently developing. The Blackhawks are back on the ice, but apparently the dressing room door where their two coaches are is locked, and they can't get out. At least that's the report we have.
I like that shot we just had of the policeman with the big sledgehammer. That would indicate to me that that might be one way to get that door open. As mechanical as I am, I know that's the way I'd get it open. First of all, I'd go find a fellow who was strong and hand him the sledgehammer and let him open the door.
To start this period, Brian Sutter is in the penalty box. He has 1:48 left in his penalty, so the Blues are shorthanded. Here's Ken Wilson.
And the face-off at center ice, controlled by Chicago. Yanni to center ice, drills the puck in. Back forward is Bothwell. Plays it around the boards, hits Vive. The puck still in the Blues zone, cleared out by Herkus. And Yanni will go back. Herkus, Mahar, Bothwell, and Dirk killing the penalty. It has a minute and a half to go. First minute of the second period. A big crowd here at the arena in St. Louis. Savard weaving through center ice at the blue line. Shoots the puck in. It caroms out of the corner to Millen in front of the net. He whacks it around the boards. Yanni controls at the left point. Murray is at the right point. Over to Savard along the far boards. Herkus bothering him. Back to Yanni. Over on the near side to Larmer. Vibe is in front. Bob Murray with a puck at the blue line. Back to Larmer. He shoots and shoots wide. The puck goes all the way to the point to Yanni. He keeps it in. Now it comes out to center ice. Shot back in. Offside. Chicago. Dan, on this power play in the first period, we're talking about the 2-point men being tight together at the blue line. On each side, a player spread out and a man in front. Talking with injured Doug Wilson between periods, he tells me that's not what it's supposed to look like. They're only supposed to have one Blackhawk in firm position, and that's Larmer. And then Vive is supposed to roam around the net, and then Savard and the 2-point men are supposed to swing and rotate. But what's happening is they're standing still and not really executing what their power play plan is.
Maybe that's why they were 0 for 4 in the first period on the power play, and that's been a big difference in this game. The Blues were 3 for 4. All 3 of their goals came on the power play. Now 53 seconds left in the Brian Sutter penalty, as now Koharski goes to the penalty timekeeper's bench to check on something.
The Blues have played with a lot more fervor here tonight than the Blackhawks. They lead 3-1. Neutral face-off. Troy Murray against Doug Gilmour. And the puck controlled by Chicago. Noonan up front with Presley and Troy Murray. The puck shot in by Brown. Roberts back for the Blues, and he finds an opening to clear the puck the length of the ice. 40 seconds to go in Brian Sutter's penalty. Just over the 1-minute mark in the second period. Game 5 of this best-of-7 Norris Division Stanley Cup semifinal series. Hawks shoot the puck in. Millen out of the crease, leaves it for Paul Cavallini. In the corner to Gilmour. He tries to clear. Brown knocks it in. In front. Keith Brown check, loses the puck. Taking over the Blues, Gordon Roberts, and he shoots at the length of the ice. Brian Sutter returns in 12 seconds. Blues doing a good job keeping the Blackhawks from setting up. Ben Wilson flips the puck in from center ice. First man back, Paul Cavallini. Behind his own net. Now skates dangerously in front. Gets a feed to Gilmour. Now the penalty up. Brian Sutter will follow the play over the line. Gilmour, a pass in front. And Gino Cavallini too well covered. Back the other way, the Blackhawks. Steve Ludzik. Both teams changing players. Ludzik can't get the puck in. Knocked out to center ice by Bothwell. McGill for Chicago retreats to his own zone. Bob McGill, a little shovel pass to Dwayne Sutter. He tries to get it in. Gets it over the line, hitting the linesman, and it's offside. Chicago.
Another very good penalty-killing job by the Blues. Hawks had just one shot on goal, and that was the play from a very bad angle by Keith Brown. So some excellent penalty killing thus far in this game, and some excellent power play work by the Blues, and that's been the difference. Their 3 goals have come on the power play. They blanked Chicago. Well, the Hawks had the man advantage. The Hawks' only goal came against the Blues power play when Dennis Savard scored on a shorthanded goal.
Savard faces off with Mahar in the neutral zone. Mahar has Raglan on his right. Brian Sutter on his left. Bothwell and Benning on defense. Brian Sutter gets the puck at center ice, and he shoots it in. Now he'll dig after it. He's slowed up, and Pang leaves it for McGill behind the net. Up to Vive on the right wing. Off the skate of Santa-Pass goes Vive's pass, and the puck in near the Blues net where Santa-Pass is crunched by Bothwell. Santa-Pass gets the puck as Savard digs it out of the corner. Santa-Pass to the point to Manson, and his shot goes wide. McGill keeps it in. The puck behind the net. Benning whacks it along the boards, not out. McGill ties up Sutter. Vive keeps it in. Now a loose puck along the boards. Savard scoops it up. He's out near the blue line. Moves to the slot. Takes a shot. Hits a Blues player, and Brian Sutter clears the zone. It's 3 minutes into the second period. 3-1 Blues. All the scoring in the opening period. The Blues played an incredibly strong period. Chicago shooting the puck into the Blues zone. Roberts leaves it for Gingras, or that Paul Cavallini does. Up to Doug Evans at the center red line. He's checked. Now McKagan to Fedorko, moving in. Can't get around Yanni. Fedorko behind the net. Checked by Trent Yanni. The puck kicked loose behind the net. Evans doesn't see it. Troy Murray does. He has it in his own end. Now skates to center ice with Vince Gillette. Moving around Gingras. Troy Murray moving in 2-on-1 with Presley. He shoots. Great save, Millen on Troy Murray. Puck in the corner now. Paul Cavallini throws his weight into Vince Gillette. A loose puck. Fedorko digs it out. A feed in the middle to Gingras, who saunters to center ice to Doug Evans at the Chicago line. He pulls up. A rink wide feed to McKegney. Moves in a pass. Fedorko a shot. Ooh, what a save by Pang. As he closed the door as Bernie Fedorko moved in. Had an open net momentarily. What a save by Darren Pang. This is St. Louis Blues hockey.
You will not see a better save than Darren Pang just made on Bernie Fedorko. Meanwhile, at the other end, Millen had to make a tough save on the short side. And did he ever? But then, even better at the other end. McKegney to Fedorko, wide open net. Bang, across comes the leg and the arm. A better save you won't see.
From the Chicago end, the face-off. Larmer gets the puck, having trouble getting out. Being harassed by the Blues forechecking, and Nyland clears the zone. On to Robert Dirk's stick. He shoots it right back in. Pang leaves the puck for Keith Brown. It's Brown and Nyland on defense for Chicago. Out at center ice to Ludzik from the checkered red line. He shoots it in wide to Millen. Now Greg Millen leaves the puck behind the net. Gordy Roberts there. He's checked the puck in front. Oh, and Millen robs the Blackhawks' Steve Larmer. What a chance for Larmer as the Blues got careless. Here's Gilmore at center ice. Over the Chicago line. Drops the puck for Gino Cavallini. He's checked. And the puck slides to Pang and he knocks it away. Larmer. Head manning to Dwayne Sutter. On with Savard. A pass for Savard. Fails to reach him, and Benning clears it up on the right wing. Offside to Brett Hull. And we're just short of the 5-minute mark of the second period. And it's 3-1 Blues.
Two-line offside. That pass came from inside the St. Louis blue line to Hull on the Chicago side of center ice. Brett Hull with a goal tonight, his 5th in 5 games in this series. Meanwhile, Greg Millen with a miraculous save moments ago on Steve Larmer after some sloppy play by the Blues in their own zone, and Millen had to come up with his best of the night.
Face off inside the St. Louis line, but the puck to center ice, and Bob Murray smashes it back in. Bothwell deflects it out to center ice. Cochran there. He loses the puck to Ragland. On to Mahar, over to Sutter, and it's offside. St. Louis at the Chicago blue line. That's scoring in the first period. Brian Benning, a power play goal. Dennis Savard, less than 2 minutes later, tied it on a shorthanded goal. And later in period 1, power play goals from Tony Herkus and Brett Hull.
Brett Hull, by the way, Ken, had 6 shots on goal in the first period. He's amazing.
And maybe some of the best work he did in the period was some stick handling on the power play.
And another big chance he had, missed the net. That doesn't count as the 6 shots on goal.
Shots in this period, 3-1 Chicago. They shoot the puck in. Back for it, Paul Cavallini. He and Gingras are teamed on defense. Gingras takes the puck in the corner. Up on the right wing to McKegney. He just clears the center ice. Lemieux is on with McKegney and Fedorko. Lemieux takes a run at Bob Murray. That's the crowd reaction. Now McKegney intercepts at center ice. Breaks in over the line. Chased by Ben Wilson. Forced to the board. Centers out of the reach of Fedorko. And Fedorko can't find the puck. Bob Murray tries to clear. Can't. Paul Cavallini from the point. A shot over the stick of Fedorko as he tries to deflect it on goal. McKegney gives the puck to Fedorko behind the net. He's standing there all alone. In front is Lemieux being held by Bob Murray. A pass to McKegney, a shot, and that's knocked down. A loose puck, and here's Santapass at center ice, just handing it to Gingras, and he shoots the puck right back into the Chicago end. Now both teams changing players. Ben Wilson at his own line to Bob Murray, ahead on the near wing to Larmer. He golfs the puck in. Millen out of the crease, stops it for Doug Gilmore. He flips it ahead to Gino Cavallini, blazing in over the line. A shot off the stick of Manson high and off the glass. They battle along the boards. Oh, Gino Cavallini pulls loose. Then avoids a check, gets a check, and then Manson gets the puck ahead to Dan Vincelette. Out to center ice to Troy Murray. Over the line, a shot that deflects wide of Millen. In the corner, Troy Murray check. Behind the net, in front it comes to Vincelette on a feed by Larmer, and it's broken up, and the Blues come back led by Brett Hull. Around Manson, he goes in, shoots, glove save, Pang. An amazing move by Brett Hull, and then he's robbed by Darren Pang. 3-1 St. Louis. This is St. Louis Blues hockey. Ken Wilson with Dan Kelly. Darren Pang has Been called upon to make 12 saves. The Blues have scored 3 times. Moments ago, the Blues breaking out. Hall coming in on Manson. Manson either has to get the puck or get Hall. Let's see what he tries for. He tries for the puck, sweeps it a little bit, doesn't get the puck, doesn't get the man, and Pang able to make a glove save.
The only way you can make a save like that is if the guy shoots the puck right into your glove, and that's what Hull did.
Puck inside the Chicago line, kept in by Paul Cavallini behind the net. A battle for the puck. Up with it is Keith Brown. Out to Dwayne Sutter. Into center ice. The pass deflects high, and Ludzik goes after it. Then he's checked by Gingras. That doesn't bother him a bit. And Ludzik flips the puck in, and it ends up behind the Blues net. Back for it is Doug Evans. His pass dangerously deflects in front, and Gingras clears it away. A very dangerous cross-rink pass in his own end by Doug Evans. Not only dangerous, but extremely ill-advised. Chicago comes to center ice. Savard loses the puck. Mahar shoots it right back in. Coming up to the 8-minute mark of a scoreless second period. Blackhawks to center ice. Cochran feeds it ahead too far for Vine. Into the corner. Vine throws his glove right into Benning's face. They battle. Bothwell behind the net swings it up on the wing to Raglan. He's checked. Kept in at the point. Yanni a shot knocked down by Bothwell, and he clears to center ice. Bob Murray for Chicago. A pass to Steve Larmer. He circles in the neutral zone. Little shovel pass to Savard. He'll pull up along the near boards. Out in the slot. Bob Murray a drive that goes just wide. Yanni moves up from the point. Carries into the corner. Banks the puck behind the net. Chases after it. Benning beats him to it. Benning can't get the puck out. Kept in by Vive. Now behind the St. Louis net, Bothwell. Blues being hemmed in here. It hasn't happened much since the first 5 minutes of the game. Vive checking Benning, and finally the puck held against the boards behind Millen for a face-off with 11:35 remaining in the middle period. This is St. Louis Blues hockey.
Well, no scoring in this period. All scoring in this game in the first period. Benning, Herkus, and Hull for the Blues, and Savard for Chicago. Both teams have had some great chances in this period, but the goaltenders, Millen at one end and Pang at the other, have been outstanding.
Fedorko against Troy Murray. Fedorko wins the draw nicely, but Roberts harassed by Presley. Gingras gets it up on the wing, and out comes Fedorko. He's got McKegney across the rink. Over the Chicago line, Fedorko to McKegney. Quick shot! And it hits Pang more than anything. Comes down in the corner, but the whistle has stopped play, and Don Koharski may call a penalty or two. Otherwise, he had no reason to stop play unless he felt he lost sight of the puck, and apparently that's the call.
You described that perfectly. The puck just hit Pang. He had no idea where it was. Look at him looking around. It just hit him. Meanwhile, Koharski didn't know where the puck was either. It had gone straight up in the air, and that's why they whistled the play down. But Pang, just in the right place at the right time, did not see the shot. It simply hit him.
Now the face-off, Fedorko and Troy Murray near Darren Pang. The Blues lead 3-1. If they win this game, they'll have a week off. They'll have eliminated Chicago, and they'll get ready for either Detroit or Toronto next Tuesday. That game is Toronto 5, Detroit 4 now at Joe Louis Arena. If Detroit wins tonight at home, they eliminate the Maple Leafs.
That game is still in the second period as well, so they're scoring some goals at the Joe Louis Arena.
Now the face-off, having trouble lining up. They're set to go. The linesman, Ron Finn, drops the puck. In the corner, Ben Wilson clears around behind his goal to the near side. Presley flips the puck to the blue line. Not out. Kept in by Fedorko. He handles the puck. Lets the shot go wide. And well wide. And the puck rebounds all the way back into the St. Louis end. Gingras back for it. He avoids a check by Sanapass. Gives the puck to Gordy Roberts, who's been with 3 different teams this year. His pass hits McKegney's skate and goes into the Chicago zone. And the Blackhawks back. Ben Wilson around Fedorko with a nice move. Over to Presley, too far on the wing, and Roberts sends the puck to center ice. Troy Murray there for Chicago, shoots it in, and Roberts ends up with the puck near his own goal. Well, both teams changing players. Over to Gingras at the checkered red line. He'll blast it into the corner, and the puck ends up behind the net. Pang plays it into the corner. Larmer there. Out on the wing for Savard, and Brian Sutter intercepts in front to Hall. He just sort of chips the puck wide. He was well covered. Benning from the point, deflection by Hall, just wide. Manson gets the puck for Chicago and clears to center ice. Shot right back in by Bothwell, but Mahar a little eager, offside at the blue line. Just 7 seconds shy of the 10-minute mark in the second period.
We just saw another example of how dangerous Hull is offensively. If he's not going to the net, he's positioning himself to make a deflection, and he just made a rather uncanny deflection. One hand just wide of the target. By the way, I mentioned the 6 shots on goal he had in the first period here tonight, including a goal. The other night in Chicago, he had 11 shots on goal.
He is never hesitant to shoot, but in the game in Chicago on the power play, he passed well, handled the puck well on the power play, and has done the same thing here tonight. Benning at his own line. Comes to center ice. Nice pass to Gilmore. He'll flip the puck in. Wide of Pang. He knocks it down. Trent Yawney back. Yawney on defense with Bob Murray. Noonan. Sutter. And Vincelette on the ice for Chicago. Blues intercept. Here's Hall in front to Gino Cavallini, and he deflects the puck wide. Now on the boards, Vincelette takes out Gino Cavallini. The puck slides into the corner. Bob Murray wedges Hull to the boards. That allows Yawney to come up with a puck. He stick handles to center ice. Trent Yawney in the center circle drives the puck in. Comes right in front out of the corner, and Benning with a bouncing puck slams it off the glass, and the puck will go down the ice. It could be icing. Bob Murray back touches it, and it's an icing call against the St. Louis Blues. And now a chance to look at our Pizza Hut scoreboard.
And it shows in the second period, Toronto facing elimination but leading Detroit 5-4. Other games now underway. Calgary with Los Angeles on the ropes leading 1-0. In the second period, Winnipeg facing elimination leads Edmonton 3-2. Also the second, New Jersey, and they lead the Islanders 3-2. That series, of course, tied. Washington facing elimination, leading Philadelphia 4-2 in the second period. And Hartford facing elimination leads Montreal 2-1 in the third period. And Boston leading Buffalo 4-3 in the third. Pizza Hut sets the standard of quality for pizza everywhere. That's right, everywhere.
Bernie Federko wins the face-off in his own end. Then Gingras circles his net, pulls up behind the cage. On with Roberts, Federko, McKegney, and Lemieux. The crowd loving the reappearance of Jocelyn Lemieux. Pass along the boards, cleared to center ice. It'll go well deep into the Chicago end, and Nyland back. Along the near boards for Wayne Presley. In the middle to Troy Murray. On the stick of Keith Brown in over the St. Louis line. He's knocked down by Gordy Roberts. Then Presley tries to make a move, can't get out of a crowd, and McKegney just flips the puck through center ice back inside the Chicago blue line. The Blues are changing. Long pass for Presley too far. Here's Brown again. He drills it off the glass, and the puck ends up behind the St. Louis net on Gingras' stick. Chicago changing to McKegney. This pass hits his skate, and back deep in his own end is Gordy Roberts. He makes a nice move around Dwayne Sutter to center ice. Roberts, he'll just flip the puck in, and the Blues will make a full-scale change. 8:10 left, second period. There's been no scoring in this period. The Blues have outshot Chicago 4-3. Chicago shoots the puck in, but it's icing as Benning touches it and then takes a hit from Ludzik. And then one of the Blues, it's Evans, goes after Ludzik, who has an absolute crowd around him, and I believe it's Yawney who has a stranglehold on the Blues player Evans, who might choke to death. Meanwhile, in the corner, who's that? Paul Cavallini. He looks like a wrestler. Looks like he's going to butt heads. He's really strong.
Well, this game had been a very tough game in the first period. It settled down somewhat here in the second, but now it erupts. Paul Cavallini has Dwayne Sutter in a headlock. Cochran and Gino Cavallini are paired off.
We've got less than gentlemanly types on the ice for Chicago. You mentioned Dwayne Sutter, Ludzik, and Cochran. Those are three pretty tough boys.
Well, they call the Cavallini brothers now in St. Louis the Flying Cavallini brothers.
Oh, Dwayne Sutter and Paul Cavallini, and they may let him go. The most feared words in hockey. Let him go. And it is a struggle in 60 seconds, struggling, fiercely wrestling on ice skates. It's about like running a marathon.
Well, now they separate Cochran and Gino Cavallini. And now they have some separating to do of Sutter and Paul Cavallini. And now the referee Koharski back trying to do that. The linesmen have ushered the other two to the penalty box. He orders them to separate, and they do. I guess he said, you guys break it up or you're gone.
Well, I don't know what he said, Dan, but it did work, didn't it?
Quick. This is St. Louis Blues hockey. Gino and Paul Cavallini. Cochran's in there, and here comes Dwayne Sutter. Well, we have had everything tonight except perhaps Dwayne and Brian getting mad at each other again. Saw that in Game 4. They came that close to dropping the gloves and going to it.
I asked Brian after the game on the flight back the other night, I said, you and Dwayne getting along all right? And he said, you know, I can understand why other players hate Dwayne. You know, he knows who to pick on. He is picking on Herkus, and he was picking on Gilmore. I told him. I said, Dwayne, you know, he says, I got agitated at him. He says, I told him we're going to drop the gloves.
Meanwhile, the other side of the story, they tell me Dwayne was particularly agitated because on one of the Herkus goals, Brian had a hold of a stick for a good 15 seconds. And they thought that the Blues should have had a penalty, and it aided the Blues in getting that goal. That's why Dwayne was so mad.
I asked Brian about that. You know what he said? He said, yeah, I held his stick, and I can understand why he was mad.
They are the Sutter brothers. Well, coincidental penalties called on the play. Cochran and Dwayne Sutter of Chicago. The Cavallini brothers of the Blues. Miners for roughing.
Face off in the Chicago end. The backhand shot by Ragland. Knocked down in front. Yanni ends up with a puck. Both teams remain at full strength. Meanwhile, behind the plate, Brian Sutter has a Blackhawk player's stick caught in his skate. He gets that out. The play goes into the Blues end, and a Blues player, Tim Bothwell, ends up falling on the puck to stop play. Let's pause 15 seconds for station identification. This is St. Louis Blues hockey.
Shots on goal in this period have tamed down from the first. The Blues have had 4, Chicago 3 in the first period, as we reported. The Blues outshot the Hawks 13-2. And the 2 shots on goal by Chicago ties a Blues Stanley Cup record of the fewest shots against the Blues in a period in a Stanley Cup game.
It is Gilmore against Troy Murray in the face-off circle near Millen. The puck is dropped. Troy Murray into the corner. Gingras there. They battle for the puck. Sanapass comes in, leaves it behind the net, and Gordy Roberts there. Roberts bothered. Evans bumped along the boards, and the puck cleared out by Gilmore. 3-1 Blues lead. Second period. They can eliminate the Blackhawks tonight. Puck at center ice for Brett Hull. Long shot. Kicked out by Darren Pang. Boy, Hull is a threat anytime he has that puck. Wayne Presley to center ice for Chicago to Ben Wilson. He's hit by Bob Gilmore. Gilmore dazed a bit. Puck into the Blues zone, into the corner. Troy Murray trying to get it out. Can't. Sanapass and Gingras battle. And Gordy Roberts lying on top of Troy Murray, and Gilmore clears the center ice. Gilmore may have a cut on his face after that collision with Ben Wilson. He checked Wilson. At center ice, McGill for Chicago, but offside at the St. Louis line is Wayne Presley. And the Blues now have outshot Chicago in the game 18-5, in the period 5-3.
One of the traditions of some teams in Stanley Cup play and some players is they don't shave. Doug Gilmore is a good example. He said, though, if they'd lost in Chicago in Game 4, he would have shaved. They won. He left the beard on.
He looks more like Abraham Lincoln than he does a hockey player. Face off in the neutral zone. Mahar loses it to Savard. Savard trying to move in. Can't. Loose puck. Vive keeps it in. Then loses it, and it's cleared out by Mahar. Too far for Brian Sutter. At center ice, Bob McGill whacking the puck in. Back forward is Bothwell. He avoids a check. Can't clear it out. Manson from the point, a shot hits Ragland, goes to Vive in front. Larmer shoots wide. Puck at the side of the net in front. They score! Rick Vive carrying from the side of the net, and that cuts the Blues lead to 3-2. And Brian Sutter is extremely upset, yelling at the Chicago players.
And particularly Rick Vive. Well, they'd missed a brilliant opportunity earlier as it was centered to Larmer. He missed the net. Well, they got a reprieve. It came in front. And Vive, who's been a 50-goal scorer in the past when with Toronto, made no mistake. That cuts the Blues lead to 3-2. First shot by Larmer. He was wide open in the slot, but missed. And then Savard from back of the net got it to Vive. Vive came in front and beat Millen, and that cuts the Blues lead to 3-2.
Millen on the play never really got back in position, and he really didn't have much of a shot at stopping Vive's effort. He just wasn't able to get up and recover quickly enough. At center ice, the puck drop. Hawks control at their defense. McGill circling. He's teamed with Manson. They have Vincelette, Ludzik, and Noonan on, and this line tends to weave and skate more than the other groups. Hawks stopped at the Blues defense. Roberts back behind his net. He's on defense with Gingras. Noonan checking Roberts, giving him fits, and he pokes the puck to center ice, and Manson back for Chicago. 6:05 to go, second period, 3-2 Blues. At center ice, a loose puck. Lemieux gets it, shoots it in, rips the helmet off Ludzik, and there'll be a penalty coming up to Jocelyn Lemieux. Oh, that's a silly penalty to take. Here's Manson for Chicago to the bench, Pang. Manson, a long shot. Millen the save. He holds the puck, and Don Koharski will send Jocelyn Lemieux off. This is St. Louis Blues hockey.
Jocelyn Lemieux not too happy with the call. Roughing is the call. 14-15 the time. And he got the penalty for knocking the Chicago player's helmet off. He went in behind there. Well, maybe he got the penalty for taking that one-hander, too. Maybe the penalty had already been called. I'm not sure.
Lemieux, that roughing penalty. Chicago on the power play, 0 for 4. They're looking to tie the game. They set up. Right point, Bob Murray. Yanni at the left point. Over the far side, Savard, a shot. And Millen stops that. Back to the point to Yanni. In front is Vive, battling with Bothwell. Larmer. Straight away, Bob Murray, a shot. He scores on a deflection. And it is 3-3 all of a sudden.
And it again is Rick Vive in the slot. He does that very well. Murray let it go, but it was Vive who stood up tall in the slot and gets the goal to tie it. That's his job, and he does it very well. He's very hard to move. Made sure he wasn't in the crease. Dirk moved him, but after the fact. Larmer to Bob Murray at the point. Vive in the slot with the deflection. And all of a sudden, the Blues' 3-1 lead is down the drain on a pair of goals in very quick succession by Rick Vive. 13:27 he scored from Savard and Larmer. And now at 14:36, just over a minute later, Vive scores again on the power play to tie it.
Jocelyn Lemieux taking a roughing penalty for tearing the helmet off a Blackhawk player. Now at center ice, Santapas shoots the puck in and gets caught in the sweater of Gingras, and that stops play, and we'll have a face-off just inside the St. Louis blue line with 5:16 to go in the second period. It is 3-3.
Well, the Blackhawks were held only 2 shots on goal in the first period. They've had 9 here in the second, outshooting the Blues 9-5. They've played a much better brand of hockey here in this period.
And it's that age-old question, and it has to be asked to the Blues, what have you done for us lately? It's a 3-period game. Gingras shoots the puck down the ice, well into the Chicago zone. No icing. Gino Cavallini back, fighting for the puck with Brown. Behind the Chicago net, it comes in front, but Troy Murray is there. Nice pass ahead to Everett Santapas. He has Presley on the right wing. He takes the puck. His shot blocked. Then Ben Wilson can't control, and the puck squirts to center ice. Keith Brown whacks Gino Cavallini, and there'll be a penalty to Keith Brown, and now the Blues will have the man advantage and an opportunity to break the tie. The excitement of the Stanley Cup playoffs. This is St. Louis Blues hockey.
Well, the Blues have scored all 3 goals in this game on the power play. on a power play right now because of Keith Brown's infraction on Gino Cavallini out in the center ice area. It's a roughing call, and the Blues with the man advantage. That last Hawk scoring play, Rick Vaive is 6th of the playoffs from Bob Murray and Larmer at 14:36 to tie this game.
Play resumes in the center ice area. Loose puck. Gingras knocked down. Gives the puck to Fedorko, and he shoots it in. Back forward is Nyland. Nyland and Ben Wilson on defense for Bob Murdoch. Through center ice, the puck goes off Gingras' stick. Now the Blackhawks shorthanded. Blues are 3 for 4 on the power play. Gingras clears around the boards, and Ben Wilson there to intercept. The shot deflected right in front by Savard, and the save by Greg Millen, and that'll bring a face-off deep in the St. Louis zone with 1:31 to go in the Chicago penalty.
Meanwhile, Savard had scored a shorthanded goal earlier. He just about got another one there with a deflection. He just changed the direction, and Millen had to kick out that left leg and make the save, and then Savard was flung off balance. Savard and Larmer are very dangerous when they're out there as penalty killers.
On the face-off, it goes to Dwayne Sutter, and a good shot and a Millen save. It's Gilmore, McKegney, Benning, Fedorko, and Hull on the ice. The St. Louis power play from center ice. Gilmore firing the puck in. McKegney after it with Dwayne Sutter, who takes it behind his net. Then Fedorko comes in with McKegney. 4 players battle for the puck. It comes loose, and the Hawks clear it the length of the ice. Millen shoots it back to the blue line. Gilmore with it there to McKegney on the left wing into the Chicago zone. Plays it behind the net around to the far side, all the way to the right point to Benning. Blues trying to set up in front to Hall. He has trouble with a bouncing puck. Back to Gilmore at the left point. Right point to Benning. Fedorko along the far boards accepts the pass. Diagonally out to Gilmore at the left point, but too far out of his reach all the way to center ice, and the Blues will have to regroup. 35 seconds to go in the Blues power play late in the second period. It is 3-3 here in Game 5 of this Norris Division semifinal series. Over the line, Hall. He's checked by Noonan, and the Hawks clear the puck the length of the ice. And both teams change players. Keith Brown will be back in 18 seconds behind the net. Savard steals from Millen. Millen's checked, knocked down, but the puck kept behind the net, cleared harmlessly to the far side. Herkus takes over. Millen without a stick. Now the Blues to center ice. Millen will retrieve his stick. Here's Gino Cavallini cutting in over the line. Centers in front. Hank clears the puck away. It's loose. Finally cleared to center ice. Keith Brown back on, and both teams again are at full strength. Gordy Roberts in his own end. Clears to an open wing. Manson moves up, shoots the puck in wide of Millen, and ends up behind the net. Roberts plays it to an open wing, and Herkus catches up with the puck. He's checked, but Gingras helps out and comes to center ice. One man to beat. It's McGill. Gingras cuts in. Can't get a shot, and the puck kicked out by Pang. On the attack, the Blackhawks. Manson, good pass for Vaive. Trying to move in on the left wing. A shot, and Millen the save on Vaive's backhand effort. Blues can't clear as the puck hits the referee. Vaive sweeps it into the corner, and back for it is Gino Cavallini. The Blues are a bit flat-footed here late in this second period. They had a 3-1 lead not long ago. At center ice, Gingras blast wide off the glass, and the play is offside with 1:44 remaining in period 2. The Blues 3 and the Blackhawks 3.
Gingras had a chance to let that shot go on target, but elected, well, I don't know if he elected, but it missed the net. And as a result, it's icing against the Blues. Had it been on target, then there wouldn't be any icing. Vaive, meanwhile, always dangerous with a very good chance moments ago on a backhander. And Millen had to come up very big again. Vaive with 2 goals in this game and 6 in the series.
That game at Joe Louis Arena now, 5-5, Detroit and Toronto in the third period. Play resumes deep in the Blues zone. Fedorko and Troy Murray in the corner. Now Bothwell hands the puck to Santa, pass to Presley in front. He shoots. Great save, Millen. Rebound shot. Millen kicks that drive by Bob Murray away. Back-to-back key saves by Millen. Blues shoot the puck the length of the ice. Icing is called as Yanni is back to touch it. And Dan, the Blues have not played well at all in the last 5 minutes here in period 2.
They were superb in the first period. Meanwhile, Millen right now with a big save, and then an even better save on the rebound as he kicked out his left leg. And you're right, the Blues were the dominant team in the first period. Here in the second, the Hawks have outshot the Blues 13-6, and they've scored 2 goals to bring this game back on even terms at 3-3. I mentioned Vive 6 goals. 5 of them are on the power play, which ties an NHL record for power play goals in one series.
From the face-off, the Blues to center ice. Tony McKechnie. Left wing pass for Evans. Misses him. Hang out of the net to play the puck to Bob Murray, the veteran Chicago defenseman. His long pass too far for Santapas. Goes the length of the ice. Paul Cavallini really smashed by Santapas, who touches the puck. No icing. Roberts to McKechnie. Can't get out. Yanni keeps the puck in. Ahead to Santapas behind the net, and he centers, and Doug Evans intercepts. Gives the puck away. Presley a shot just wide. The Blues very careless and flat-footed in their own zone. They clear it to center ice, and the Blackhawks backhand it right back in. 40 seconds remaining in the period. Blues overskate the puck. It's right in front. Savard pokes at it. It hits Roberts. It's loose. Presley a shot. Millen the save. Play stop. The puck goes in, but it's no goal. Now Larmer rammed into by McKechnie. Tempers flare. Millen wants to get out of the way. And Evans bumping at Larmer, who's pinned against the goal, the crossbar. And the Blues just getting very sloppy around their own net.
The whistle had definitely gone before the Hawks did put it into the net. I heard the whistle, and Koharski immediately gave a motion that play had been called. The puck came in front. Meanwhile, the Blues really having difficulties in their own zone. And Millen had to make a save, then had the puck, lost it, but at that point the whistle had gone. And that's why there is no goal. Once he loses sight of the puck, the referee blows that whistle. And he did lose sight of it for the second, but Millen didn't have it for very long, I'll tell you that. Puck came in front. Millen bats it away. Presley is there. And in comes Savard. Puck just bouncing around. It'll go in underneath Millen. That's when the whistle goes. You can see the referee put the whistle to his mouth. Then the puck slid across the line. And that's why there's no goal.
It's been a very good second period for the Chicago Blackhawks. They have the only goals in the period, and they have tied it at 3. The first goal at 13:27, Rick Vive's 5th playoff goal, and Rick Vive again at 14:36 on a power play. The Blackhawks with a power play goal and a shorthanded goal among their 3. All 3 St. Louis goals have come with a man advantage. 32 seconds remaining in the second period, and the faceoff will be near Greg Millen. It'll be Mahar against Savard. This is an instrumental faceoff here. Mahar really needs to win this, and he does with the help of Ragland. In the corner, Bothwell pulling away from Savard, skating to center ice. Pass too far for Mahar. Blackhawks shoot the puck in, but from their side of center and over the end red line, touched by Benning, and icing against Chicago. And that really turns things around, Dan, with just seconds to go, 19 of them. Now all of a sudden you have a face-off near Darren Pang, and if the Blues can win the face-off, maybe get a good shot or two, and possibly even a goal that could really be important in this game.
Sure would be, because the Blues, as we have pointed out, have been outplayed here in this second period. I don't know what Bob Murdoch had to say in that locker room, but the Hawks have been a much different team here in this period. Now the face-off honors will be between Rick Mahar of the Blues and Dennis Savard of Chicago. And this is a key face-off, folks.
Back behind Mahar. Waiting is Ragland, but Savard wins the draw to Ben Wilson. He tries to get it out. Can't. Kept in by Ragland. 11 seconds to go. His shot partially blocked. Trickles to Pang, and he makes the save. Ragland bumped by Brown as Troy Murray comes to center ice with a pass to Ben Wilson as the horn sounds, and that's the end of the period. And tempers flaring a little more. Ragland looking at Ben Wilson, and the linesman will separate everyone, at least try to, as 40 minutes of play have come to an end here in St. Louis at the arena. The Blues really dominated in a big way the first period, and they led 3-1 after 20 minutes. But Chicago gets the only 2 goals, both from Rick Vive in the middle period, and this is quite a hockey game. The Blues leading in the best-of-7 series, 3 victories to 1, but this one, Game 5, is tied at 3. This is St. Louis Blues hockey. In the first period, it was all St. Louis. Benning, a power play goal at 7:54. All the goals came when the Blues had the man advantage. Savard scored a shorthanded goal. Then at 11:22, Herkus made it 2-1. Brett Hull scored a pretty power play goal at 17:06 of the first period. In the second period, both goals by Rick Vaive at 13:27 and at 14:36 with a man advantage. Now the game is up for grabs. The Blues win. The series is over. Bring on Detroit or Toronto. If Chicago wins, Game 6 Thursday night in Chicago. Here's Dan Kelly.
Third period underway, and the puck immediately into the Blues zone. Paul Cavallini back to get it. Teams at full strength as this period begins. Astar Gingras, nice little pass to Doug Gilmour. Into the Hawk zone to Hull. Shoot, he scores! Brett Hull! And the Blues take a 4-3 lead.
He's got that wonderful smile like his dad. Brett Hull gets the puck, carries inside the blue line, top of the circle, low shot, stick side. He gets it, he hits the mark. 15 seconds into the third period. You talk about wanting to set a tempo early in a period. How about this? Brett Hull, his second goal of the night, his 6th goal of this playoff series. And now he really gets the crowd of almost 15,000 roaring, and that'll help even more.
More importantly than the smile like his dad, he has the shot like his dad. That was another boomer, and the Blues take a 4-3 lead. Puck cleared in by Chicago. Back comes Gingras to Fedorko off his skate. Fedorko gets it back again, but Jocelyn Lemieux was already in the zone, and that's offside at the Chicago blue line. That's the thing about Brett Hull and about that trade. Ken, he's got some charisma, and he's got that big booming shot. I think he's going to be a fan favorite here in St. Louis for a long, long time.
And you look at some of the other young players. You look at Jocelyn Lemieux, Brian Benning, Tony Herkus. This franchise is on the move.
Here's Murray, or at least Yanni for the Blackhawks. Moving out into center ice, puts it in. Digging in is Ludzik. Gingras took him out back of the net. Paul Cavallini comes up with it. Cavallini trying to clear it. Did to center ice. Yanni knocked down there. And now stealing it is McKechnie. And now back of the play, Dwayne Sutter. Oh, and here goes a ruckus that started by Dwayne Sutter and brings everybody right over in front of the Blues bench. And there were bodies flying everywhere.
You talk about a third man in. That was third man in as defined in the rule book. Now Larmer's on the bottom underneath Paul Cavallini. And everybody going at it. They're going to get Ludzik, who I believe was the third man in, into the penalty box. That'll help. He jumped Lemieux from the side. They may be taking Lemieux to the dressing room, at least to the penalty box. And meanwhile, in front of the benches, everyone paired up. And things get calmed down rather quickly, considering what happened. And Dan, I think it's safe to say with an incident like that a couple of seasons ago, that would have emptied both benches.
You are right. Now they get heavily fined, suspended, and all that business, and that stopped a lot of that. Meanwhile, Don Koharski with some big decisions to make here. He's the referee. This is St. Louis Blues hockey.
Third period, 4-3 Blues. Early goal in this period by Brett Hull, the difference. Now, as the players can congregate, the referee, Don Koharski, talks with the linesmen to get their opinion about what happened. That goal at 15 seconds. Hull, his second of the night from Gilmour. Gilmour has a couple of assists, make it 3 assists now. Hull with a 3-point night also. And these are big decisions. We'll try to get the announcement for you about these penalties as this crowd of 14,887 is on its feet here at the arena. This happening now at the 52-second mark of the third period. This is a lot for Don Koharski to sort out. I believe it was Jocelyn Lemieux and Dwayne Sutter originally And then Steve Ludzik came barreling through as the third man in. We get a look. Lemieux steps in front of Dwayne Sutter, knocks Yanni down. Then Dwayne Sutter whacks Lemieux from behind. Lemieux reaches back for Dwayne Sutter, who knocks Fedorko down. Lemieux shoves Dwayne Sutter, and then Ludzik comes in like a freight train. Here's the announcement.
Dwayne Sutter, 2 minutes for roughing. And number 29, Steve Ludzik, 2 minutes for charging. For St. Louis,
Sutter gets a minor for roughing, Ludzik for charging, and Lemieux just a minor for roughing. So the Blues will have a power play out of this.
And that's a pretty good interpretation by Don Koharski, who's considered one of the best referees of what happened.
I think the supreme compliment to Koharski was last year in the Canada Cup Series. In the final series between the Soviet Union and Team Canada, the Soviets requested the Canadian referee Koharski. Usually they will ask for some neutral official, but I don't think you could get a better compliment if you're a referee than have the visiting Soviet team ask for you to referee.
Now Bernie Fedorko and Bob Murray getting an explanation from Don Koharski. There's a long way to go, my friends, in this game. The Blackhawks are trying to stave off elimination. They're down by a goal with 19 minutes and 8 seconds remaining in regulation play. Koharski saying, look, let's play. Denny Savard was over there. He wanted to talk to him. Koharski says, go away. Let's play hockey. Now there'll be a neutral faceoff.
The attendance here tonight, 14,887. And they have seen a dandy. And now they'll see the Blues in the power play. And the Blues have been 3 for 5 with the man advantage tonight. Plus, Chicago's had a shorthanded goal in the bargain. Fedorko, McKegney, and Hull up front. Gingras and Benning, the point men. And the dangerous twosome for Chicago of Savard and Larmer up front. Ben Wilson and Keith Brown on defense. From the faceoff, Red Hull gets it to Benning. Benning at center ice to McKegney. And Tony McKegney shoots it in. In comes Brett Hull. Off his skate into the corner. Hull comes in front. Backhander. That's blocked. Hull gets it again. Brett Hull into McKegney. Tony McKegney back on the point to Gingras. Gingras feeding it in behind the net to Fedorko. In front to McKegney. Now to Gingras. Shot blocked by Savard. Gingras held it in. Savard just about broke away. Here's Fedorko to McKegney. Back to Bernie Fedorko. Back into the corner to McKegney, and he gives it right back to Fedorko. Fedorko to McKegney again. They play their own little game over here on this right wing side. Here's Fedorko for the Blues. McKegney side of the net, tried to stuff it in. Save made by Pang. Fedorko in to get it again. Back to Benning, side of the net to McKegney. Tony McKegney back on the boards. Fedorko lets it go to the point for Gingras. In behind the net to McKegney. Got it in front. Pang cleared it away. Fedorko in to try and battle. Now it comes to Hull on the boards. Here's Brett Hull for the Blues. Moves in front. Behind the net to Fedorko. In front, McKegney fanned on it. And then it's cleared away by Ben Wilson. 45 seconds left in the penalty. Great puck possession here by the Blues, but not really many good scoring chances on this power play. Here comes Benning. Into center ice to Doug Gilmour. Shoots it into the Chicago zone. In there to get it goes Brett Hull. Now it's Herkus over on that side to Benning. Got wide of the net. Bounces to Gilmour. Into the corner for Tony Herkus. Herkus taken out by McGill. And now Troy Murray cleared it. Benning, good play to hold it into Gilmour. Shot just hit Noonan's stick, went wide. And then as it bounced in front, Pang dove out to cover up.
And it's interesting to watch the Blues power play. The first group, the A group, so to speak, with Fedorko, very methodical. Then you get the next group out, different players. Gilmour, they tend to be a little bit more anxious, less methodical on the power play, which now has 12 seconds remaining in it. The Chicago Blackhawks want to make certain what they're going to do when they come out of the penalty box when the extra 2-minute penalty is up. But this crowd, Dan, really getting into it. It's the biggest crowd of the playoffs here at the arena. And they are loud and loving these St. Louis Blues here tonight. And you know, they would be thrilled to see this one end this best-of-7 series. Meanwhile, that Toronto-Detroit game is still tied 5-5 in the third period in Detroit. The Red Wings trying to eliminate the Maple Leafs tonight.
Toronto must win to stay alive in that one. It'll be Savard and Mahar, who by now know each other very well, at least on the ice. Ernie Hayes stirring up this crowd of the arena. And they have been noisy from the opening faceoff. Savard and the Hawks talk over some strategy. Now they're ready to go. 12 seconds left in the penalty to Chicago. Mahar gets it behind the net. Murray tying up with Sutter. Puck cleared on the boards, and Larmer feeds it to Savard at center. Good play by Bothwell to break it up. Back comes Mahar. Got it into the zone, but there to break that up and shoot it back out is Nyland for the Blackhawks. And the Blues, Bothwell back to get it. Savard in. Now Roberts ties him up. Bothwell comes up with the puck. Bothwell cleared it on the boards. Mahar able to flip it into center. Chicago now back at full strength. They cleared it in, and that's offside at the St. Louis blue line. 4-3, the Blues lead it. This is St. Louis Blues hockey.
On Brett Hall's tie-breaking goal 15 seconds into this third period, his second goal of the night. Not only did Doug Gilmour pick up his third assist of the game, but they have now added an assist to Gaston Gingras, who was, before the game, a doubtful starter because of the elbow injury on Sunday night in Chicago. But Gingras has played well, and has a couple of assists.
Blues with a slim 4-3 lead. Paul Cavallini flipping the puck into center ice. And Nyland goes back for Chicago into his own zone. Nyland over to Bob McGill. McGill right in front of the net, feeds it up the middle. Vincelette cleared it out, shot right back in by Hull for the Blues. And Darren Pang flips it up on left wing to Vincelette. Vincelette into center ice to Presley. Now to Troy Murray. Murray dropping that back to McGill. McGill into the blue zone. He's taken out of the play. Paul Cavallini with it. Shoots it off the boards into the Hawks zone. Hawks could have played it so there's no icing, and Pang sets it up for Nyland. Nyland cleared to Vincelette, stolen by Hull. Hull in the slot gets tied up. Never got the shot out as McGill comes up with the puck. Now McGill hit the side of the net. Bounced right in front, but the Hawks quickly cleared it to center ice. Here's Bothwell to Hull. Knocked away by McGill. Now Savard. For Chicago to Vincelette. Good check by Hull, and now Gilmour starts back. Doug Gilmour to center ice, just flips it in, and he flipped it up too high, put it into the Chicago players bench, and we'll get a face-off out in the center ice area.
The Chicago Blackhawks, 4 minutes and 17 seconds into this third period, still looking for their first shot on goal. The Blackhawks in the opening period were outshot 13-2 by the Blues, but came on, had a very good second period to tie the game, out shooting the Blues 14-7. But this third period, again, has been very, very good for Jacques Martin's Blues.
Face-off, won by the Blues and controlled by Jocelyn Lemieux to Gingras. Gingras on the Blues zone, cleared it out into center ice, shot back in by the Hawks, but number 10, Noonan, was already in the zone, and it's offside. A reminder, if Game 6 is needed, we'll be on the air on Channel 11 and KMOX Radio from Chicago Stadium on Thursday night at 7:30.
Tonight, the Blues with a lead, hoping to eliminate Chicago. And Coach Doug McLean, the assistant coach to Jacques Martin, celebrating a birthday tonight. Number 34, looking for a Blues win.
By the way, Detroit and Toronto are heading into overtime, tied at 5. Now the Hawks shoot it into the Blues zone again, and that's offside at the St. Louis blue line.
This broadcast authorized under rights granted by the St. Louis Blues Hockey Club Incorporated solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any publication, rebroadcast, or other use of the description and accounts of the game without the express written consent of the St. Louis Blues Hockey Club Incorporated is prohibited. The broadcast is a production of Bud Sports, presented through the facilities of KMOX Radio and Channel 11.
Hope you're enjoying the Stanley Cup playoff action from the arena. Blues 4, Chicago 3. 15:29 left in the third period. And this third period just seems to be inching its way along. Face off in center ice. Lemieux cleared it back into his defense. They missed it, and back goes Gordy Roberts to get it for St. Louis. Roberts out on right wing to Gingras. Back to Roberts. Up at the center ice to Herb Raglan. Raglan shooting it into the Chicago zone. Both teams changing on the fly. Puck comes to center. Roberts fires it back in. Hang to the side of the net to Ben Wilson. And Ben Wilson for Chicago feeds it out to Keith Brown. Brown dumps it into the blue zone. Big bounce out in front of the net. Roberts quickly cleared it right back up. And Ben Wilson has it again to Brown. Brown shoots it in. Hustling in after it. Bludzik now. It's Raglan breaking out for the Blues. Raglan headmanning it into center ice to Bothwell. He takes a hit and just tips it into the Chicago zone. Now a Chicago player down on the ice and injured out near the blue line. It is Dennis Savard, and I didn't see what happened.
Nor did I, Dan. Savard down on the ice. Don Koharski didn't see anything. And, of course, the Blackhawk players are rather unhappy. He's their star. He's one of the best in the NHL. And the players away from Savard having words. And the linesman keeping Raglan away. Now Ben Wilson is taunting Raglan, and Brian Sutter trying to make sure that Ben Wilson doesn't get after Raglan. Now Ben Wilson's going to skate over to the Blues bench. The referee, Don Koharski, races right over and just yaps right in Ben Wilson's face. And you know what he's saying? Get away from here. Get out of here. Meanwhile, Savard is to his knees and seems very dazed. It's 4-3 Blues. Still 14:35 to go in the third period. Savard under his own power back to the bench. This is St. Louis Blues hockey. The Blackhawks are an unhappy group. Away from the play, their star, Dennis Savard, was smashed to the ice. Don Koharski telling Ron Finn, the linesman, hey, I didn't see anything. We've checked all our television replays. We can't find anything. I didn't see it. I know, Dan, you didn't see it.
Neither did Koharski. There's no penalty call.
Nobody saw it. And, you know, somebody on the ice knows what happened, but we don't. Right along in front of the Blues bench, Savard checks a Blues player, and then, well, the camera goes away, and your guess is as good as ours, but we know a Blues player did something to Denny Savard, and we'll probably find out sooner or later who that was. You're right, Dan. This third period has been inching along. These two teams, of course, have seen a lot of each other. Now a fan is taunting the Blackhawk bench where there is a security guard, and that causes a ruckus right below us. And
Daryl Sutter points the fan out to one of the policemen on duty and says, I want him out of here. Now back to the game. Blues leading 4-3. Ben Wilson in his own zone. Coming to the blue line, feeding to Troy Murray. Murray scoops it in, and back goes Paul Cavallini. Santa pass into forecheck Kim. Now Gino Cavallini with the loose puck. And back he comes for the Blues. Gino Cavallini into the Hawk zone, trying to break around the defense. Cuts in front to a bad angle, left it there, but hang out of the net to flip it out to Presley. Presley shot at the center. Gingras gives it to Brett Hull, who scooped it back in. Now the Blues change on the fly. Here comes Troy Murray shooting it in. Presley in after it. It's over Millen, but then bounced wide of the net. Close call there for Chicago. And then a couple of head-on collisions in the corner. And we'll get a stop. There'll be some ice used after this game tonight, sir.
Yeah, I want to tell you something. 13:47 looks like about 5 periods to me. This is going to be grueling to the finish. Presley had a good chance off the boards. Coming right in front, just couldn't control the puck. The Blues, Dan, the last minute or two, have sort of been lulled asleep a bit. The game has not had much of a pace because of a lot of whistles. And the Blackhawks obviously are going to be more hungry down by a goal and facing elimination than the Blues are. So it's a tough spot for the Blues to be in right now.
Another thing that's happening, the Blues have the last change. They get the players out on the ice against a certain line they want. And then immediately Chicago make a change as soon as play gets underway. And then the Blues follow suit. So there's a lot of cat and mouse action going on here. Here's Ludzik winning a faceoff, but the Blues, McKechnie able to scoop it out of there to center ice. McGill whacks it right back in. Benning back for the Blues behind his own goal. Brian Benning played it off the glass into center ice. Darren Pang out of the net to get it for Chicago to Manson. Manson to Dwayne Sutter. He missed it, and Benning at center fires it right back in. Number 3, Manson for Chicago, back behind his own goal. Teams at full strength. Blues leading 4-3. Just over 13 minutes left in regulation time. Now Ludzik to center ice to Vincelette. Vincelette scoops it into the Blues zone. Puck comes out on the boards, and McKechnie trying to get it out. Manson held it in. Into Vincelette in the corner, centered, but Bothwell was there. And Timmy Bothwell scoops it out into center ice for the Blues. Manson having to go back for Chicago quickly to McGill. Teams change again on the fly. Here's McGill shooting it into the Blues zone. Is Mahar able to clear it out into center ice? Rick Five has it there to Bob Murray trying to feed Savard. Now Mahar breaking it up. Mahar flips it into the Chicago zone, and Larmer back after it to Nyland. Quickly to Savard, and Mahar right there to check him. Shoots it back into the Chicago zone. Nyland back again for the Blackhawks. Gary Nyland trying to stick handle out. Does. Nyland to center ice, firing it in. Coming in as Five on left wing. Gets it to the side of the net. Shot blocked by Roberts, bounced in front. Larmer scores, but no goal. The whistle had gone again.
A very quick whistle. I'm not sure that Millen ever had the puck in his trapper, and the Blackhawks are absolutely incensed. The puck went high in the air. It was headed into the trapper, may have bobbled in the catching glove of Millen. Don Koharski blew the whistle. He's explaining to Savard that he saw Millen close the glove on the puck before it dropped down and was shot in. Millen reaches up as the whistle blows, the puck drops, and Larmer scores. But the whistle had blown. This is sort of like a fair catch, or did the outfielder really have possession? Five shot, the puck goes up. It's pretty clear from a second replay that Millen never really had possession in the truest sense of possession of the puck. And it's a judgment call, and Don Koharski judged that he had full possession and play should be stopped. And Dan Kelly, that would be what we would refer to as a rather quick whistle.
Rather quick. And the Blackhawks have an argument. Meanwhile, that happened to the Blues last year in a playoff game against Toronto, when they had a quick whistle in a key situation. Replay shows it should have been a goal, but it wasn't. 12:08 left in the third period. 4-3. Blues leading Chicago. From the faceoff, Blues come up with it, and it's cleared by Hull down the ice. Hull racing down to touch it first, but Keith Brown gets there quickly for Chicago. And that's icing against the Blues, and another faceoff back in the St. Louis zone.
The Blues with a 4-3 lead. 11:58 remaining in regulation play. Brian Benning and Tony Herkus have goals. Brett Hull has scored 2. He has a half dozen in this series. And Rick Vive has a pair, and Dennis Savard has a shorthanded goal for Chicago. The Blues, Dan, I think, have generally played well in this period. It's been a checking period, only 2 shots aside.
Big face-off, won by the Blues and controlled by Benning. Benning back of his own net, now starting to carry out. Brian Benning to center ice. Cross ice to Gino Cavallini, moves in, shoots.
Wilson. He looks like a palm tree. He never moves. And Gino Cavallini gets more time than he ever deserved. And Gino makes no mistake. But that's a weak defensive play by Ben Wilson. And Gino Cavallini, much to his credit, capitalizes. And Dan, that could be the goal there that sends the Blackhawks packing. A huge goal for Gino Cavallini. Meanwhile, the Toronto Maple Leafs have just scored at Joe Louis Arena. They win in overtime 6-5, and the Maple Leafs are still alive and headed home.
They'll have a game 6 in Toronto on Thursday night. Now the Blues with a 2-goal lead, clear it into the Hawk zone. Bob Murray back to get it for Chicago. Clearing it out to Vibe on right wing. Vibe checked and a good play by Benning, and Benning flips it back in. And Payne sets it up back to the net for Yanni. Speaking of outstanding youngsters on the Blues, here's a good one for Chicago. Trent Yanni. He's going to be a danger. To Larmer, to Yanni, out on right wing to Murray, to Rick Vibe. Benning for the Blues there to clear it right back up. Blues with a 2-goal lead. Yanni shooting it in. Sutter on the boards. Bucks at 5. Vibe then drops it back. Nobody there. And the puck comes to center. And Yanni goes back near his own line. Yanni feeding it up the middle. Now back to the play. Raglan down on the ice and injured.
Dan, he is the one who checks Savard. We've double-checked with our eye in the sky, Bruce Affleck, and he confirmed that earlier incident when Savard was decked away from the play, it in fact was Raglan who had slashed Savard down. And one could guess pretty safely that Herb Raglan has just gotten what you would recall the return for what he did. So we'll try to get a look at it. To say the least, feelings are bent out of shape a little bit. The Blues have a nice 5-3 lead in the third period. This is St. Louis Blues hockey. Hockey is a tough game. There'll be a 5-minute penalty given to the Blackhawks. The Blackhawks have had 2 goals taken back tonight. The most recent, just before the Blues made it 5-3, the replay showed should have been a goal. Now, after Savard was chopped down, most likely by Raglan earlier in the period, out of the sight of the referee, the Blackhawks retaliate, chop Raglan down away from the play, and they'll pick up a 5-minute penalty, and it's Dennis Savard, who is the player being pointed to as the culprit who chopped down Raglan. And I think, Dan, it's pretty safe to say we have that scenario 100%.
Now Savard comes out of the penalty box, or out of the Chicago bench, and goes to the penalty box, and he is furious at the referee, Koharski. Blues have a 5-3 lead, and they're going to have a power play here for the next 5 minutes, barring other penalties. And if I were the Blues, I would be very careful, because there is a good chance that Koharski will be watching their every move now that he's had to call that penalty against Savard.
The Blackhawks, of course, are nowhere near the same team without Savard. Just under 11 minutes to go in the third period. The Blackhawks are down by 2, facing elimination. So the Blues have a 5-minute power play. It's really an outstanding opportunity for the Blues. Let's pause 15 seconds for station identification. This is the St. Louis Blues hockey. This crowd is really something tonight, almost 15,000. If there's a game 7, of course, it would be back here at the arena on Saturday night. If the Blackhawks come back and win this one, game 6 will be on Thursday night at Chicago Stadium. And of course, that one will be televised. The Blackhawks are furious, and they have some good reason to be. There's no question about it. This crowd is happy on the verge of delirium, and they're ready to resume action in the neutral center ice area. 5-3 St. Louis.
Meanwhile, Murdoch and Daryl Sutter at the Chicago bench, the coaches, are screaming. Hawks shorthanded for 5 minutes, barring other penalties. Here the Blues with a 2-goal lead as Benning shoots it in. Hang out of the net, scoops it right back out himself. Benning near the St. Louis line. Works it up to McKechnie, back to Gilmore. Now to Benning. Benning through center ice. Into the Hawk zone. Benning on right wing, and that play is offside at the Chicago Blue Line.
A very big night for the Blues with 5 goals. Brett Hull has 2 goals and an assist. Brian Benning has 1 goal and 2 assists. And Gilmore also has a 3-point night with 3 assists. And Gaston Gingras has contributed a pair of assists for the Blues here tonight. For Chicago, Steve Larmer has 3 assists, and Rick Vive has a pair of goals.
From the face-off, the Blues. Benning into the Hawk zone. Shoots it around on the boards. Fedorko over to get it. Fedorko on right wing, back to Benning, moves in, shoots, bang, a save. Hull from behind the net trying to scoop it in front. Now it's Fedorko. He gets a rough ride on the play, and the Hawks break out of there with Ludzik into center ice. Steve Ludzik had a shot blocked by Benning, and now it's Millen clearing it around. Larmer for Chicago. Cleared it to center. Fedorko picks it up. Back comes Fedorko. Into the Hawk zone to Gilmore, almost broke through, but the play was offside at the Chicago line. 3:52 left in the major against Dennis Savard. 9:46 left in regulation time. 5-3 Blues.
Boy, there's enough finger pointing going on from the 2 benches and among these 2 teams to last you a lifetime. Todd Ewan spending the night on the end of Jacques Martin's bench. Probably yelled and screamed and pointed and taunted as much as anyone. 9:46 to go. The Blues still have almost 4 minutes left in the power play, and things looking very, very bright right now for the Blues. And of course, Detroit and Toronto move on to Game 6 in Toronto on Thursday night.
Face-off won by the Blues. Gingras back at his own line, going all the way back behind the net. Blues on a power play and leading by 2. Gaston Gingras being very careful. Gives it to Gordy Roberts. Roberts ahead to Brian Sutter. Sutter circles back at center. Now Sutter in on the wing to Herkus. Back to Sutter. Troy Murray broke it up. And Murray, number 19 for the Blackhawks, finds an opening and fires it down the ice. Gordy Roberts for the Blues. Back to get it. Roberts on left wing for Herkus. Herkus trying to clear it ahead to Cavallini. He's checked. Now Sutter on the boards, taken out by his brother Dwayne. Chicago come up with it and fire it to center. Tony McKechnie has it. Back to Gordy Roberts. Roberts into the Hawk zone to McKechnie, trying to break through. McKechnie back to Cavallini. On the point to Gingras, flipped it in front, but McGill was there for Chicago, and he shoots it out down the ice. Gingras back for the Blues. Gaston Gingras through center ice to Fedorko. Fedorko circles back. 2:40 left in the Chicago 5-minute major. Fedorko shooting it in. In there to get it goes McKechnie. Flipped it behind the net to McGill. McGill trying to clear it. Here's Benning. Into the corner. Fedorko lets it go, and Manson intercepts. Gilmore held it in to McKechnie on the boards. McKechnie into Brett Hull. Hull from behind the net. Back of the net. And now back of the play. A penalty has been called, I believe, against Manson. And Chicago, well, there's going to be penalties against each team. Manson and McKechnie sent to the penalty box.
Well, they're offsetting minors. I believe one for high sticking, the other for cross checking. 8:15 to go. Well, it's been a fine hockey game, and this crowd has truly enjoyed it. We hope you have enjoyed it also. A big goal at 15 seconds of this third period, really setting the tempo of the third period. Brett Hull getting it. Gilmore and Gingras assisting. Then at 9:13, Gino Cavallini scoring from Brian Benning, and the third period has belonged to the Blues. There have not been many shots on goal. The Blues in this period out shooting Chicago 4-2. It has been a grinding Norris Division third period.
Coincidental penalties against the 2 players, Manson and McKechnie. Still 2:21 left in Savard's penalty. Fedorko to Gingras. Other point to Benning. Benning for the Blues. At the left point to Gingras. His shot blocked, and Bob Murray comes up with it. And Murray comes back for the Blackhawks. Murray through center ice. Still has control. Scoops it into the blue zone. In comes Dwayne Sutter to get it. He's checked. And now St. Louis break out of there. Here comes Brett Hull to center ice. Hull into Gilmore. Back to Hull, but Keith Brown stole it away. Now Brown back with Vive. Vive and Brown pass across. Gilmore intercepts. Gilmore for the Blues with 1:40 left in the Hawk Major. Blues have been very conservative on this power play. Here comes Roberts for St. Louis. Shoots the puck into the Hawk zone. Hang back of the net. Sets it up for Vive. Vive clears it out of there. All the way down the ice. And Millen back of the net with 1:20 left in the Savard penalty. Puck cleared in behind the goal. Gordy Roberts for the Blues. Blues leading 5-3. Roberts to Herkus. Herkus through center ice into the Hawk zone. Upended. Gets it to Sutter. And that play is offside at the Chicago line. 1:07 left in the penalty.
That's a good play there, and that's a terrific example of what a defenseman should do at the blue line. Bob Murray of the Blackhawks did it. He made a play for the player carrying the puck at the blue line. You're either going to upend the player or create an offside, and that's exactly what Bob Murray did. By the way, Dan, in that game in Detroit, here's that play. Come out, force the play, and it ends up Herkus putting himself offside. If you make the play as a defenseman inside the blue line, by that time everybody's onside, and the play just isn't half as effective. By the way, Dan, the goal scored at Joe Louis Arena was scored by Ed Olczyk to give Toronto that overtime win.
The ex-Blackhawk, and it keeps the Leafs alive. Here's Bob Murray shooting it off the boards, down the ice. And the Blues have to chase back. 52 seconds left in the penalty. Paul Cavallini, back of the net. Leaving it there for Gordy Roberts. It's passed to Gilmore. Gilmore through center ice into the Hawk zone, trying to break through. Gilmore, and knocked down on the play by Brown. And back comes Troy Murray for Chicago. Murray circles, drops it back. Gilmore there to intercept. Gilmore for the Blues with 28 seconds left in the Chicago penalty. Dropping it back to Bothwell. Over to Roberts. Roberts through center ice. Now Roberts just circles back. Blues are being very cautious, even though they have the man advantage. Dumped in. Vive back to get it for Chicago. Rick Vive out to Ben Wilson on left wing. Wilson to Vive. Into the blue zone. Vive into the corner. Vive taken out by Benning. Bothwell comes up with the puck. Savard is back on. Puck cleared to center, and here is Savard. 5:48 left in regulation time. Savard trying to break in, but Benning for the Blues is there. Cleared it outside the line. Vive shot it back in, and that's offside. And we're down to 5:40 left in regulation time. Blues with a 5-3 lead. This is St. Louis Blues hockey.
Game 5 of this Norris Division semifinal series. The Blues won the first 2 games here. Lost game 3 at Chicago. Won game 4. Can end it tonight. They lead 5-3 with 5:40 to go. That Detroit-Toronto series. Toronto now going home has won 2 games in Detroit.
Here's McGill for Chicago, shooting it in. Gingras back to get it. Hawks Santa pass cleared it into the corner. Now Federico back, and we're going to get a penalty against Lemieux here, as he got tied up with the Blackhawk player. And now Chicago will have a man advantage as Lemieux goes to the penalty box. And the Blues are worried about Jocelyn talking himself into an unsportsmanlike conduct call. And he'll be headed for the penalty box.
In the second period, Lemieux took a penalty that he shouldn't have taken. A roughing penalty that created a Chicago power play goal. And Jocelyn Lemieux goes off here with 5.5 minutes remaining in regulation play, and that's the last thing that the Blues wanted to happen. And I don't believe that Jocelyn Lemieux exactly wanted it to happen, and I'm glad I'm not in the penalty box with him right now. He is a bit upset.
Hawks trail by 2, but they'll have a power play here with 5.5 minutes remaining. They're 1 for 5 with the man advantage in this game. Actually now 1 for 6. Here from the face-off, Murray at the point. Shoots, that's high and wide. Comes in front of the net, Bothwell cleared it. Yanni held it in. Centered, Larmer's shot blocked by Dirk. Larmer again for the Hawks. Back to Bob Murray. Over to Trent Yanni. On the other side to Larmer. To Murray. Shooting, deflected wide, bounces in front. Larmer gets it to Murray again. Murray to Yanni at the point. Into Steve Larmer, number 28. Hawks on a power play and trailing by 2 goals to Murray. Into Larmer. Back to Murray. Shoots, blocked in the slot by Mahar and cleared down the ice. 1:18 left in the penalty. 4:47 left in regulation time. Yanni back for Chicago to Bob Murray. Murray breaking it out of there to Larmer. Larmer fires it in. Millen back to the net. Flips the puck into the corner, but right onto a hot stick. Back to Yanni at the point. In behind the net to Savard. Pokes it into the other corner for Bob. 5 for Chicago. Checked by Roberts, and Herkus finds an opening and clears it down the ice. 48 seconds left in the penalty to the Blues. Jocelyn Lemieux. Back comes Trent Yanni for Chicago. Into center ice on right wing for Murray. Murray flips it in. Timmy Bothwell back to gut. Bothwell cleared it. Bounced in front of the net. Gilmore able to scoop it out of there. 30 seconds left in the penalty. Here's Keith Brown. Shoots it back in. Doug Gilmore back after it. Now on the boards, Bothwell couldn't clear it out. Hawks get it to Ben Wilson at the point. Into Presley on left wing. Wayne Presley trying to center. Presley back to Wilson. Other point to Brown. Into Presley. Presley back to Wilson. Shoots. That's high off the glass. Gilmore and Brown. And Gilmore gets to the puck. Cleared it out of there. Lemieux is back on. The Blues have killed it off. 3:25 left in regulation time. Here's Ben Wilson flipping it to center ice. Now Shane-Rob missed it. Racing in is Larmer for Chicago. Center. In front, and Millen able to smother it. As that puck deflected, and Millen was able to cover up on it. We're down to 3:14 left in regulation time. This is St. Louis Blues hockey.
Greg Millen has played every playoff game. He has been a standout. 24 Blues shots tonight, only 19 for Chicago. The Blues have played a tight game defensively. They held the Blackhawks to 2 shots in the first period, a record by the Blues in a playoff, and only 3 shots here in the third period. Defensively, Dan Kelly, in the first and third periods, it's hard to imagine the Blues playing any better. The second period, they didn't play well at all defensively.
But the first and third, they've been very airtight. Aside from the shorthanded goal they gave up in the first, they've just done a very good penalty killing job too on Lemieux's penalty. Blues back at full strength, 3:14 left. Blues with a 5-3 lead. Chicago trying to fight off elimination. Blues trying to move to the next round against Detroit or Toronto. Face off, won by the Blues, and Tony McKegney flips it out of there into center ice. Nyland back to get it. McKegney pokes it up. Nyland stick back into the Hawk zone, and Pang leaves it for Manson. David Manson, number 3, with less than 3 minutes to play in regulation time. His pass to Savard. Savard to Manson. Quickly off the boards, missed Larmer, and Paul Cavallini shot it back in. Here's Nyland for Chicago. Nyland clearing it to the St. Louis line. Cavallini lost it. Breaks in, shoots. Millen just got a piece of that. And then Bothwell trying to clear it to Sutter. Now to Mahar. Ricky Mahar to center. Into the hot zone. Leaves it for Raglan. Raglan shoots. Pang! Glove save. And then he's able to reach out and smother it. As Raglan, who was injured earlier, comes in on the right side and had a very good chance.
Let's take a look now at our Pizza Hut scoreboard. The Norris Division semifinal matchup between Toronto and Detroit, 6-5 in overtime on an Ed Olczyk goal. Detroit still leads as they go back to Toronto. First period at Calgary, 2-1. The Flames lead the Kings. Calgary trying to eliminate Los Angeles. In the third at Edmonton, Winnipeg, and a big surprise. Check it, put it the other way around. Edmonton apparently leads by a score of 5-2. New Jersey has beaten the Islanders 4-2 to take a lead. Philadelphia losing at Washington 5-2. Hartford beat Montreal 3-1, and Boston defeated Buffalo 5-4.
And the Hawks on the attack. Running out of time here. Yanni at the point. Fires it in behind the net. Presley tried to center. Knocked away by the Blues. Now centered again. Gingras cleared it. Back of the net and Paul Cavallini to Gino Cavallini, who shoots at the center with 2 minutes to play. Hawks almost lost it. Blues with a 2-goal lead. Here's Gino Cavallini shooting it into the Chicago zone. Hawks go back with Yanni. And Yanni trying to carry up. Yanni fires it into the St. Louis zone. Blues go back. Brett Hull is there. Flips it to center. And the puck to the Hawk line with Ben Wilson back to get it. Roberts for the Blues takes over. Roberts shoots it in. We're down to 1:27 left in regulation time. Blues with a 2-goal lead. Here's Savard spinning away, but Brian Sutter checked in. Feeds it to Mahar. Into the Hawk zone. Shoots. Hang a save on that. Ben Wilson with the puck. Stick handling out to Five. Five on right wing. Shoots it into the blue zone. Dylan back to the net to Bothwell. Bothwell to Sutter, who deflects at the center. 6 attackers now for the Hawks. Their goaltender is off. Under a minute to play. Chicago shoot it in. Roberts back to get it. Couldn't. Here's Savard in the corner. Centered out in front. Backhander Millen the save. And then Millen out of the net to clear it to center himself. 44 seconds left. Hawks, Wilson shoots it back in. Millen missed it back to the net. Sutter gets it. Fires it off the boards and down the ice. Meanwhile, I think play had been called. And we're down to 38 seconds remaining. The Blues, who have never beaten Chicago in a series, have a 5-3 lead. And if they hang on, they would beat the Blackhawks for the first time in their history in a playoff series. 4 previous series were won by Chicago. By the way, we told you about the Pizza Hut scoreboard. We'll also remind you that Pizza Hut sets the standard of quality for pizza everywhere. That's right, everywhere. Gino Cavallini had a big goal for the Blues here in the third period. Hull scored at the 15-second mark to break a 3-3 tie. And then Cavallini at 8:13 to give the Blues a 2-goal lead. And they still maintain that with 38 seconds left. The Blackhawks have called their 32nd timeout. I'm not sure where the faceoff is going to be. I think at the St. Louis blue line. Everyone standing here at the arena. Blues in the regular season finished second. Won the season series from the Blackhawks 4-3 with 1-game tie. And Chicago would need some kind of a miracle comeback now. They trail by 2 with just 38 seconds left. Listen to the chant, "Let's go Blues."
Let's go Blues! 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 Let's go Blues!
Now we have to get ready for the face-off. Hang, the goaltender, stays on the bench. Chicago with 6 attackers. Trying to send this one into overtime. They need 2 goals to do it. Murray will take the face-off. Now the Hawks want to reposition Savard out as a wide man on the left side. Mahar and Troy Murray on the face-off. 38 seconds remaining in regulation time. Hawks come up with it. Blues get it. Ragland shoots at the open net and missed it. Back to get it is Brown, and that's going to be an icing call against the Blues. Ragland was not across center when he fired it down. And 30 seconds remain, and Chicago will get a face-off in the St. Louis zone. Well, the Blackhawks battling right down to the wire. Blackhawks, by the way, in the regular season, won only 9 of 40 road games. And Here in the playoffs, they lost the opening 2 games. And they're trailing here 5-3. Face-off, going to be deep in the St. Louis zone. The Blues calendar in the locker room tells it all. Face-off, coming up deep in the St. Louis zone against 6 attackers for Chicago. Hawks get the draw. Here the blue line, Larmer, trying to move it in on right wing. Shoots it behind the net to Wayne Sutter. Got it in front to Troy Murray. Just past to Vaughn. 5 tied up. Side of the net to Wayne Sutter. Millen a save on that. Now Savard trying to center. Broken up and Raglan, or Mahar it is, clears it out with 8 seconds left. Chicago's Troy Murray back to go. Fires it up on the boards to center ice. Hawks. Wayne Sutter shoots it in. It's all over. The Blues win 5-3 and win the series 4-1. Series, but in Stanley Cup tradition, now the teams skate down the ice and shake hands with one another. Whether they've battled all the way or not, that's always the way it is in Stanley Cup play, and I think it's one of the great traditions. You see a guy like Rick Vaive out there. He and Tony Herkus talk it over. Vaive apparently cut Herkus earlier in the game. But it's all over now. The Blues have won the game 5-3, win the series 4-1. In the 21-year history, there's Darren Pang, the little 5'5" rookie goaltender, and the veteran Greg Millen. In the Blues' 21-year history, this is their first victory ever over the Blackhawks in the playoff series. Blues have lost 4 previous series. Savard and Millen have a hug for each other at center ice. And bedlam will rain down in the Blues locker room. These Blackhawks are the bitterest Blues rival. And the handshakes continue as the Blues win the series 4-1. They'll take on either Chicago or, Toronto or Detroit in the next round. A 2-goal outburst in the 3rd period. The game winner by, again, the rookie Brett Hull. A clincher by Gino Cavallini. Hull had 2 goals in the night. There's the 2 goaltenders. The young guy and the old guy. And the Blues win the game 5-3. Win the series 4-1. Here at the arena, 14,887. Hope you've enjoyed it as much. It has been fantastic. This is St. Louis Blues hockey.